lap to go at the end of this. A long lap and a half this is going to be for Christian Lundgaard. Time will seem to fly by for Colombo as the laps disappear, his opportunities disappear. He's just dropped back a bit now by a couple of lengths. Lundgaard doing really well here, but he'll know he can't afford to lock up again. But it's between the devil and the deep blue sea. You've got to brake as late as you dare into that first chicane, otherwise the next driver is going to come charging down the inside of you. So he's got to brake late, but if he locks up and goes deep into the corner like he did last time, Colombo's going to be there ready to pounce. Third and fourth starting to catch up a bit as well, but to Martin's pace is good in fifth place. Yea's just set the fastest lap of the race with a 150.5, so he's 7/10 of a second quicker than the leaders at the moment, having charged through the field. He's only 6/10 behind Thomas Maxwell, so there could still be another place to be gained here. It could be 7th instead of 8th. Thomas will have to defend hard for the final lap of the race as the Chinese driver hunts him down very rapidly indeed. Victor Martin's flying as well. He set the fastest second sector of anybody in the race so far last time around, but he's too far back, I think, to get involved in the battle for the podium positions. Into the final lap of the race they go then. Here is Yea coming up, and you've got Maxwell battling away with Neubauer as well, so he's attacking and defending at the same time here. Maxwell goes for it down the inside, squeezes through. The Australian gains a place. He's a bit deep through the second part, but there's no way through there, and that's a nice tidy move, but the battle is not yet over. Look at Yea just behind them as well. So the two Thomases with Iffy to try and fend off. There are the top two. No change for third. Defournay. Swallow goes off into the gravel, but Will on the gravel trap, and through comes Iffy to split the pair of them. So he's up to 8th place now. 7th, 8th and 9th running absolutely together here with just about half a lap to go in the race. Terrific squabbling here we've seen all day long, all weekend long in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Can we see a late change of lead here though? He's coming back at the Dane, but he's not yet close enough to launch a real attack, and time is running out for Colombo. He'd be very disappointed obviously given that he started pole position, but what a move it was from Lundgaard to get the lead initially. And Yea is not done either. He wants another place. He wants that 7th position. He knows every point is absolutely valuable. He can't risk too much because Neubauer is not going to make life easy for him. Almost home and dry now for Christian Lundgaard, who is about to become the 4th different race winner in 4 races in the 2018 Formula Renault Euro Cup. The rookie becomes a race winner. Lundgaard wins. Colombo in 2nd place. 3rd and his first podium of the season for Defournay. Sargent right with him in 4th place. Martins has gone through in 5th place. 6th place is going to go the way just about of Neubauer. Yea fending off Maxwell for 7th. 8th place for Maxwell. More good points. One of the most consistent drivers in the championship. Bird got through at the end to 9th place. So first points for Bird. Verschoor dropped to 10th place, and Max Futrell did not score points. He was 11th, just outside the points. And an absolutely devastating weekend for him, really, given how well he went at Paul Ricard. 2 poles, a win, a second, but 0 points here this weekend. And Lundgaard is going to pick up the maximum 25 points. He'll move on to 58 points. He'll move clear of Max Futrell into 2nd place. But with that very strong comeback drive, he is also going to add some points to his tally, of course, as well, for 7th place. Another 6 points will give him a 6-point lead in the championship. So yeah, will lead the championship. There he is. Terrific comeback from him. What was he down in 18th place, I think, at one point, after he and Futrell went off the road together. Logan Sargent with another strong drive as well, bags more good points just outside the podium positions. And terrific drive as well this weekend from Max Defournay, battling yesterday. Today it was a different story really. He was having to defend quite a lot of the time. The cars make their way back. So Lundgaard, Colombo and Defournay will be on the podium, and rookie winner being Christian Lundgaard will get a pot for that as well. Some super slow-mos as we wait for cars to come back. And the number 4 machine of Victor Martins, which had a relatively lonely race actually, but he had real serious pace for the last 5 or 10 minutes of that race. He's just a little bit too far back to get involved in that battle for 3rd spot, but Victor Martins picking up more good points. Did have a very good first race outside the points in 11th place in the opening round of the championship, but he's been in the top 6 constantly since then. A 4th, a 6th, and now a 5th place finish. And it's the consistency that's going to be the big factor this year, because as we've seen, I don't think anybody is going to dominate this in terms of the number of race wins that they'll pick up. And so it's on the weekends where things aren't quite going for you, where you've got to try and maximise the points, and those 4th and 5th and 6th place finishes are all going to add up to make the difference, I think, at the end of the season. So round 1 of the championship, it was Logan Sargent that took victory at Paul Ricard, then it was Mats Futrell, and yesterday he won for the first time, and now Christian Lundgaard. Not only is it 4 different drivers, it's 4 drivers from 4 different countries that have won races now. First time that he has been off the podium, but I think he'll be overall pretty satisfied with the way he was able to come back from that. So here is the race winner, Christian Lundgaard. His dad Henrik will be here, no doubt, with the team to greet his son home. And there to the right of the picture, Lorenzo Colombo, double podium for him this weekend. And Lundgaard is one to watch this season. Terrific drive, fabulous move to get the lead of the race around the outside into turn 3, and a driver who is pretty late on the brakes as well in Lorenzo Colombo. Not the easiest driver in the world to overtake, but it was good fair driving from the Italian. He gave Lundgaard the room, and he stuck with him thereafter, didn't he? The winning team there, celebrating with their man Christian Lundgaard, the MP Motorsport team. Absolutely delighted with their man. Had a good day yesterday with Alex Peroni. Not such a good day for Alex, I'm afraid, today, but their other driver, Max De Fornay, on the podium. So MP Motorsport, the Dutch team with 2 drivers on the podium, and they put an awful lot of work into the preparation of these cars. Busy a couple of weeks as well, because from Paul Ricard on Sunday night, packing the cars up, they had to be here in time to do some tests, a day of testing on Thursday. So it's been flat out for the teams, many of them engineers for the teams working other championships as well, so they don't get many weekends off. Bit of a respite now though before we head to the next rounds at Silverstone in the UK, and then it's to Monte Carlo the week after that, or less than a week after that. Their confirmation of the provisional results on the screen now. 16 laps in the race due to the 2 safety car periods. Lundgaard the winner by just 0.4 of a second from Colombo, De Fornay in 3rd, Sargent in 4th, Martins in 5th, Neubauer in 6th, Ye coming through to 7th, Maxwell, Bird and Bashaw also in the points. Futrell, frustratingly for him, in 11th place, and Martinez with a pretty good run just behind in 12th place. And then Vartanian was 13th, Taufik in 14th, Munat's 15th, Lovras 16th, Razak in 17th. The newcomer Hahn, the Brazilian, through to 18th. Milesi, we saw with damage to the front wing in 19th place, and there were non-finishes for Rougier. We lost him fairly late on. Guzman, Piastri also out, and then Novalak, and we saw Neil Verhagen's car in the gravel trap at turn 7, which was the cause of the second safety car. Alexander Smollier was involved in turn 1 incidents, went to the pits, got back out again, but it didn't last long, and he went back and was another of the DNFs. Well, we can hear now from our race winner, who's speaking to Dakota.
First of all, congratulations. That was an absolutely mega race. You must have been feeling the pressure there.
I mean, Lori, I think I made a gap in the beginning to not destroy his tires, and then I had a free gap, could control my own pace, and then when he got closer, of course there was pressure on, but I tried to manage in the end, and he had a good run on the straight, 1 lap. Very under pressure in the first corner, as you can see in the lockup, but I managed to hold it, and it's mega. For the second weekend, have a win, it's amazing.
You don't need to be stressed now. Congratulations. Go collect your trophy. You won!
Thanks, Dakota. Yeah, a delighted Christian Lundgaard there. He comes across, and other people have confirmed this, that know him better than me, that he's a pretty laid-back character, pretty relaxed guy, but boy, is he a quick driver. We get some highlights from what was another action-packed Formula Renault Euro Cup race now, while we wait for the drivers to make their way to the podium. And it all kicked off with this incident at the start. Alex Peroni, who qualified well, was sideswiped and off into the barriers. Then the car bounced back on track, and he was collected by 2 other cars. Unfortunately, the 3 of them immediately out of the race. One of them being Vladimir Tsortsis, who had pretty big damage to the front end of his car, and then We saw lots and lots of action in and around 5th and 6th positions, and then this, off and around went Max Futrell. Ye was off as well, and so the championship leader and the former championship leader had to try and recover from a long, long way down the field, down to 18th and I think 22nd respectively they were. That was the move that gave Christian Lundgaard the lead of the race around the outside, and it was a lead that he would never relinquish all the way to the checkered flag, despite the close attentions on certainly the final 3 or 4 laps of the race from the Italian. This was Charles Milesi going into the back of Raoul Guzman, damaging his front wing, and then wait for it, up in the air as he goes over the speed bump and gives everybody else a heart attack as he rejoins. Big lock up there for Christian Lundgaard. That was with a lap and a bit to go, or started the penultimate lap of the race when he came under pressure from Colombo into turn 1, but he fended him off, and the last lap just about had enough gap to avoid pressure to take the checkered flag and the race win. So Christian Lundgaard calmly puts the steering wheel back, gives the car a pat, and then to the huge cheers of his team is applauded. The historic banking, which was first built here in the 1950s, used for Formula 1 racing, which you can still walk around when you come to the circuit. Bits of it still used for the odd event like the Monza Rally at the end of the year. But a fabulous venue here. A lot of people here this weekend as well coming to watch the racing. And here we see the drivers, the Belgian Max Botafogo1 finally making his way up onto the podium after a very disappointing weekend at Paul Ricard. He's bounced back superbly with a couple of great drives here. So Max puts his name in the ring as a championship contender. There's Lorenzo Colombo. Had a nice chat with him afterwards with his trophy, and he, after yesterday's race, and a very amiable character. And Christian Lundgaard onto the top step of the podium. 2 rookies on the podium. They're learning quick here in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. MP Motorsports take the team's victory, and we now have our winners' national anthem. So there, the Danish national anthem rings around the Autodrome here at Monza. Max Botafogo1 gets his hair in place, gets the Michelin cap on, and we now wait for our trophy presentation. Should be Max to receive his trophy first, the 3rd place trophy, and you almost feel like a win that after the disappointing start. So he picks up his first big trophy of the weekend, the 2nd trophy of the weekend for Colombo, who is definitely going to be a contender as well. Another quick rookie. And your race winner here at the Formula Renault Euro Cup Round 4 is Christian Lundgaard. From me, Chris Hartley and the team. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time at Silverstone for rounds 5 and 6. Bye for now.
Das S stand von Anfang an für Super oder Spezial. Das Sinnbild für Fahrkomfort. Alles vom Besten und vom Feinsten.
Die S-Klassen waren immer Trendsetter im Bereich der Fahrzeugsicherheit, der Unfallsicherheit.
Sie war eben nicht nur das Topmodell der Marke und hat den Automobilbau entscheidend geprägt. Sie hat auch viele bahnbrechende Innovationen eingeführt in den Automobilbau. Deswegen kann man sagen, heute steckt in jedem neuen Automobil auch ein Stück S-Klasse.
Der Startschuss für die ADAC GT Masters 2018 mit dem ersten Saisonlauf in der Motorsportarena Oschersleben. Überraschungspolesetter Max Hofer verteidigt am Start die Führung gegen Mirko Bortoletti. Sheldon van der Linde schiebt sich von Position 5 auf 3 vor. In der Folge setzt sich das Spitzenduo Hofer-Bortoletti vom Rest des Feldes ab. Lediglich van der Linde kann den Anschluss halten. In Runde 21 gehen die 3 führenden Piloten zum Fahrerwechsel in die Box. Ohne weitere Vorfälle und in identischer Formation geht es zurück auf die Strecke. Philipp Ellis sitzt jetzt am Steuer des Audi, Caldarelli im Lamborghini und Kelvin van der Linde ebenfalls im Audi dahinter auf Position 3. Christoph Dreispring landet mit seinem Honda im Kiesbett. Für ihn ist das erste Saisonrennen vorzeitig beendet und das Feld reiht sich hinter dem Safety Car ein. Der anschließende Restart verläuft ohne Positionswechsel. GT Masters Neuling Philipp Ellis im Audi R8 LMS bleibt weiter in Führung. Auch in den letzten 2 Runden schafft es Caldarelli im Lamborghini nicht zu überholen. Ellis wehrt sich hartnäckig und gewinnt am Ende das erste Saisonrennen in Oschersleben. Jubel bei Ernst Moser und Phoenix Racing. Das Comeback in die ADAC GT Masters ist geglückt. Auf Platz 2 die Italiener Bortoletti und Caldarelli. Komplettiert wird das Podium von den beiden Brüdern Sheldon und Kelvin van der Linde. Saisonauftakt der ADAC TCR Germany in Oschersleben. Vizemeister Mike Halder geht von der Pole Position ins Rennen und wird vom Start weg von Florian Thoma attackiert. Die Berührung der beiden in Kurve 1 führt zum Ausfall von Thoma. Das Safety Car kommt zum ersten Mal raus. Nach dem Restart bleibt Halder in Führung, verfolgt von Harald Proschig und Nils Langefeld. Dominik Vogel kommt nach einem Kontakt mit Ante Buri von der Strecke ab und muss das Rennen frühzeitig beenden. Nach dem zweiten Restart setzt sich Halder vom Rest des Feldes ab. Doch infolge der Kollision mit Thoma kassiert Halder eine Durchfahrtsstrafe und reiht sich anschließend am Ende des Feldes ein. Die beiden führenden Proschig und Langefeld kontrollieren in Folge das Feld. Der Ausflug von Max Hesse ins Kiesbett führt dann zur dritten und letzten Safety-Car-Phase des Rennens. Harald Proschig lässt in der letzten Runde nichts mehr anbrennen und siegt im ersten Saisonrennen der ADAC TCR Germany 2018. Zweiter wird Nils Langefeld im Audi RS3, auf Platz 3 landet Lunka Engstler im VW Golf.
Zwei Lamborghini ganz vorne in der Startformation für das zweite Rennen beim Saisonauftakt der ADAC GT Masters in Oschersleben. Nach dem Wertungsausschluss am Samstag glänzen sowohl Engelhardt als auch Caldarelli im Qualifying am Sonntagmorgen. Beim Start verteidigt Lamborghini die Doppelführung. Ein perfekter Auftakt für Luca Ludwig im Ferrari. Er schiebt sich von 7 auf 4 vor. Audi-Pilot Kelvin van der Linde verliert das Heck und landet im Kiesbett. Nach Platz 2 im Rennen 1, diesmal das frühe Aus für den Südafrikaner und seinen Bruder Kelvin in der Box. Das Feld reiht sich hinter dem Safety Car ein. Christian Engelhardt gibt erneut das Tempo vor und kontrolliert das Geschehen zunächst problemlos. Positionskämpfe dafür aber im hinteren Teil des Feldes. Daniel Kalwitz und Maximilian Bug duellieren sich hier um Platz 11. Vorne der Kampf um Platz 3. Luca Ludwig erhöht den Druck auf Dennis Jake und kann in Runde 11 schließlich passieren. Jake in der Folge mit technischen Problemen. Der Brite wird weiter nach hinten durchgereicht. Die Fahrerwechsel stehen an und der führende Christian Engelhardt übergibt an den Teamkollegen Rolf Ineichen. Der Schweizer kommt rechtzeitig zurück auf die Strecke und verteidigt die Führung vor Bortolotti im zweiten Lamborghini. In Runde 23 dann aber die Attacke des Italieners. In überzeugender Manier überholt Bortolotti Ineichen und erobert die Führung. Indy Dontje befördert 5 Minuten vor Rennende Kim-Louis Schramm ins Kiesbett und das Safety Car kommt auf die Strecke. Das Feld rückt zusammen, Positionswechsel in der Spitze gibt es nach dem Restart aber keine mehr. Die beiden Lamborghini fahren am Ende souverän zum Doppelsieg. Nach der Enttäuschung am Samstag ist die Freude am Sonntag umso größer. Das Duo Ludwig-Schwager im Ferrari komplettiert das Podium und sorgt für ein Italien-Festival beim zweiten Saisonlauf in Oschersleben. In den Sonntagsrennen der ADAC TCR Germany starten die 10 schnellsten des Qualifyings in umgekehrter Reihenfolge. Peter Fulin im Cooper Seat ist somit Polesetter für den nächsten Showdown in der Motorsportarena Oschersleben. Ante Buri kommt extrem schnell weg und übernimmt die Führung. Noch in Runde 1 kommt der Österreicher Simon Reicher von der Strecke ab und verursacht dann eine Massenkarambolage. Das Rennen wird sofort abgebrochen. Insgesamt 4 Fahrzeuge können nicht weitermachen. Während der Aufräumarbeiten wird das Feld auf Startziel aufgestellt. Hinter dem Safety Car wird das Rennen dann für insgesamt 15 Minuten neu gestartet. Antti Buri verteidigt seine Führung vor Peter Fulin, Engstler dahinter auf Position 3. Nils Langefeld nutzt dann aber den Quersteher von Engstler und ist damit auf Podiumkurs. Vizemeister Mike Halder schiebt sich mit diesem Manöver auf Platz 4 vor. Der Finne Antti Buri büßt seine Führung ein. Wegen seines Frühstarts kassiert er eine Durchfahrtsstrafe. Mike Halder hingegen attackiert weiter, setzt Nils Langefeld unter Druck und erobert schließlich Position 2. Hochspannung dann in der letzten Runde, denn Halder will jetzt den Rennsieg. Mit einem starken Manöver überholt er auch noch Peter Fulin und triumphiert schließlich im zweiten Saisonrennen. Nach der Enttäuschung am Samstag freut sich Halder am Sonntag über Platz 1. Fulin und Langefeld komplettieren das Podium und sammeln wertvolle Punkte für die Meisterschaft. Saisonauftakt der Formel 4 in der Motorsportarena Oschersleben. Auf zum Teil nasser Strecke verteidigt Lirim Sendeli beim Start seine Spitzenposition gegen Mick Wieshofer. Für Charles Reitz ist das Rennen nach einem Ausflug ins Kiesbett frühzeitig beendet. Den Einschlag in den Reifenstapel übersteht er allerdings unbeschadet. Nach der ersten Safety-Car-Phase und dem anschließenden Restart bleibt Sendeli weiter in Front. Gemeinsam mit Verfolger Wieshofer setzen sich die Fahrer des Teams US Racing vom übrigen Feld ab. Sowohl Ido Cohen als auch Leon Köhler kommen leicht von der Strecke ab und stehen anschließend quer auf der Geraden. Das Rennen wird erneut unterbrochen und das Safety Car kommt zum zweiten Mal raus. Unmittelbar nach dem Restart der nächste Vorfall. Lorandi und Estner verlieren die Kontrolle über ihr Fahrzeug und landen abseits der Strecke. Das Rennen wird jetzt zum dritten Mal unterbrochen. Am Ende gewinnt Lirim Sendeli ungefährdet den Saisonauftakt. Mick Wieshofer auf Platz 2 macht den Doppeltriumph des Team US Racing perfekt. Liam Lawson freut sich über Platz 3. Beste Bedingungen für das zweite Formel-4-Rennen in Oschersleben. Sendeli verteidigt erneut seine Führung am Start. Enzo Fittipaldi hingegen verliert Platz 2 an Van Amersfoort-Pilot Frederik Westi. In Runde 1 das frühe Aus für Mick Wieshofer. Nach Platz 2 im ersten Rennen muss der Österreicher nach seinem Dreher früh die Segel streichen. Im hinteren Teil des Feldes arbeitet sich David Schumacher nach vorne. Der Sohn von Ralf Schumacher überholt Ido Cohen und schiebt sich auf Platz 17 vor. Harte Bandagen beim Duell zwischen Aaron Di Comperti und Tom Beckhäuser. Beide Piloten können ihr Rennen aber fortsetzen. Leon Köhler überholt hier Joey Alders und erobert Platz 13. Ganz vorne fährt Lirim Sendeli zu seinem zweiten Sieg. Der Däne Frederik Westi dahinter auf Platz 2. Dritter wird Enzo Fittipaldi. 50 Meisterschaftspunkte nach 2 Rennen. Sendeli unterstreicht eindrucksvoll seine Meisterschaftsambitionen. Dank seines 8. Platzes in Rennen 2 startet Oliver Colville von der Pole Position in das letzte Rennen in Oschersleben. Die Ampeln gehen auf grün. Caldwell und Lorandi halten ihre Spitzenpositionen. Estner fährt von 4 auf 3 vor. Ido Cohen und Aaron Di Comperti müssen infolge einer Kollision ihr Rennen beenden. Wenig später ist auch für den Meisterschaftsführenden Schluss. Nach einem Zusammenprall mit Liam Lawson auf der Stadtzielgeraden schlägt Sendeli in die Leitplanken ein. Gianluca Petekov schiebt Andreas Estner raus und wird daraufhin mit einer Durchfahrtsstrafe belegt. Profiteur ist Enzo Fittipaldi, der durch die vorherige Aktion plötzlich auf Position 3 liegt. Wenig später setzt der Brasilianer zu einem starken Überholmanöver gegen Lorandi an und erobert kurz vor Schluss sogar Platz 2. Oliver Colville triumphiert in Rennen 3 mit einem überzeugenden Startzielsieg. Fittipaldi macht den Doppelsieg für das Bremer Powerteam perfekt und Leonardo Lorandi beendet den Saisonauftakt in Oschersleben mit Platz 3.
The 29th season of the Porsche Carrera Cup, and 29 drivers from 10 countries contest the opener of the Superfast One-Make Cup supporting the ADAC GT Masters in Oschersleben. Michael Ammermüller is the big favourite, and this much we can reveal: he'll live up to his billing from the start. Thrilling action from the start of the first race. Carlos Rivas and Lucas Ertl are the victims. Michael Ammermüller proves a cool customer, sealing a commanding Leicester flag victory. It was perfect from the start. 2 pole positions and winning the race. I hope it'll go on like that tomorrow. And indeed, the same outcome in the second race. Ammermüller is the first driver over the line. Dylan Pereira of Luxembourg wins the decisive battle for the podium, beating Robert Lucas to the flag and finishing second. I always upped the pressure when my car was very strong. He then made a slight mistake. I made the most of it and overtook him. I tried to close up to Ammermüller, but he was too far away. The pursuit of Michael Ammermüller continues in early June when the Porsche Carrera Cup visits Spielberg.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the team. They've worked so hard all winter, along with myself. We've all worked so hard to get to where we are now, and I have to give it all to them. But about the race, yeah, I just got a really good start, got me into the lead, and then, yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing from there. Just had to avoid making any sort of mistakes and just hold the lead.
I did a good start and I managed to manage my tires. It was not easy at all, but yeah, at the end we came home first and some good points for the championship. Yeah, the track was getting very tough to drive, and yeah, but yeah, it was good. It was good at the end.
È riuscito a strappare la pole position per una manciata. Il numero 2 Logan Sergeant, pilota statunitense della Race GP, e a chiudere la terza fila un altro pilota del Joseph Cao.
I think I made a gap in the beginning to not destroy his tires, and then I had a free gap, could control my own pace, and then when he got closer, of course there was pressure on, but I tried to manage in the end, and he had a good run on the straight, one lap. Very under pressure in the first corner, as you can see in the lockup, but I managed to hold it, and it's mega. For the second weekend, have a win, it's amazing.
Steering an America's Cup boat is a lot like steering a racing car. This is the steering wheel from the boat. This is what we've been developing with the engineers at BMW. The big difference to what a conventional sailboat wheel has is obviously these twist grips. So a lot like a pilot adjusting his ailerons all the time. For us, the way we keep the boat flying and above the water is constant adjustment.
We're very happy with this wheel. We've been using the BMW steering wheel in training, and the twist grip technology it developed for us has been extremely important. With the accuracy of the twist grip, we use the foils less, and that means our grinders don't have to work as hard to produce that power, and that's translating into boat speed.
About a month ago we had a racing period here, which was really good to see how the helm used the wheel in anger. In the pre-start manoeuvres we studied how they were using the wheel, and we've made some changes in terms of moving locations of the twist grips and buttons, and we're going to see how that pans out in the next set of racing.
To me, this has been a huge step in my role. If it wasn't for integrating the twist grip, moving it forwards, we wouldn't be able to push the boat as hard as we did today.
Welcome to the season start of the GT Masters 2018. With a lineup of 36 cars, 8 manufacturers and 23 teams, the series enters its 12th season. in Oschersleben. The support programs, ADAC Formula 4 and the ADAC TCR Germany, will also be staging their first races. But especially in GT Masters, there's new cars and drivers. 2 new brands, Ferrari is back, Honda is new. We have big names in the driver's squad, with high quality like Timo Scheider and Timo Bernhard, former champions of DTM and WEC. For Bernhard, it's a return to old times. I come from the old GT era. As a junior driver, I was 5 years firmly anchored with Porsche. I love that category and that kind of competition. Beside a Le Mans winner and a DTM champion, there's a lot of race action for the spectators. There are really interesting support programs like ADAC Formula 4, the ADAC TCR Germany, and new for this year, Porsche Carrera Cup. Everything is prepared for a spectacular start of the Super Sports Car League, the ADAC GT Masters 2018. And on the grid ahead of the start of Race 1, 2 races for the ADAC GT Masters over the opening weekend here in Oschersleben. And weather conditions at the moment set reasonable as we take a look at some of those drivers that will be taking part. Going from P3, it's the BMW Team Schnitzer, combination of Michael Jensen and, of course, Timo Scheider. P2, the orange one by GRT Grasser team of Mirko Bortolotti and Andrea Caldarelli. But going from pole position, it will be the Phoenix Racing Audi R8 LMS, driven by Max Hofer and Philip Ellis. So the cars on their formation lap then ahead of the start of race 1 of this opening weekend. And a real drag race going into turn number 1. But turn number 1, the hotel turn here at Oschersleben, has been reconfigured. It's much faster and much more sweeping now, as you can see. Used to be that sort of right-angle left-hander as the cars make their way through turn 1, turn 2 and head towards turn number 3. So Max Hofer has converted that pole position into the race lead. He's being chased hard though by Mirko Bortolotti, and then there is a real battle going on for P6 and P7. Indy Doncia in the all-yellow Mercedes-Benz that you can see. A replay of the start now as they head towards this new reconfigured turn number 1, which in the past used to provide quite an overtaking opportunity, but its now new sweeping nature means that perhaps overtaking is going to be a little bit difficult there. Indy Doncia then on board with him as he continues to battle, and just look at the gap that these two are breaking away from the rest. We're on board with Mirko Bortolotti then, who is P2 and is chasing down the Audi of Max Hofer. And at the moment, he's unable to offer anything to him. Max Hofer got it well under control. Philip Ellis will take over driving duties in the second part of the race. And there you can see the order then is Hofer from Bortolotti, and then it is Sheldon van der Linde, one part of the van der Linde combination in the car that is running in P3. So Sebastian Asch is standing by to take over then from Lucas Stolz. They drive that Mercedes-AMG GT3, which is currently in P6. And there we can see the car through being on board with Indy Doncia. Philip Ellis, another driver ready to take over, but of course he will be taking over in that P1 position that Max Hofer has delivered thus far in the race. And despite all the pressure from the number 63 Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti, they both come in at the same time for the driver change. So Bortolotti then right on the back of the Audi as the car's reduced down to the pit lane speed limit. And we're going to split the screen so that you can see both drivers going through their driver change. This is absolutely critical. The P1 car to the top left-hand side of your screen and the P2 car bottom left-hand side. So Philip Ellis then jumps into the Audi and Andrea Caldarelli jumps into the Lamborghini Huracan to take up the second part of this race. You can see that the first driver gets out and is really supportive to the second driver, making sure the belts and everything is done very, very safely and that the driver is comfortable. A supportive tap onto the crash helmet of Philip Ellis from Max Hofer then. Just saying, come on, bring the win home. We can do this from P1. Now, bear in mind that the Lamborghini is further back down the pit lane than the Audi. So this is going to be really, really interesting to watch as those drivers are both released. Sure enough, the Lamborghini is released first because it's further down the pit lane. But Philip Ellis does manage to get the car out in front of the Lamborghini. So the P1, P2 and P3 positions remain unaltered. Sheldon van der Linde brought the Audi in from P3 at the same time as the P1 and P2 drivers, and that's the van der Linde brother combination in that Audi that's running in P3, and it's Kelvin van der Linde then that takes up driving in the second part of this opening ADAC GT Masters race. On board with Andrea Caldarelli then, who is chasing down Philip Ellis ahead of him, and also trying to get on terms with that battle for P1 as Caldarelli takes a look at the inside. This is through turn 3, but nothing doing as the door is closed by Philip Ellis. As I said, Kelvin van der Linde is trying to buy into this battle as well. We've got, as you can see, about a quarter of the race left to run. So being led by Philip Ellis, Andrea Caldarelli, and here then is Luca Ludwig, who we're on board with now. The HB Racing Ferrari 488 makes contact with the number 24 Audi R8 LMS, which is driven by Mike David Ortmann and Marcus Winkelhock. So the pressure is relentless from Andrea Caldarelli on Philip Ellis ahead, but Philip Ellis, he's not making any mistakes at all. He's just nailing every turn perfectly, and it's a very difficult circuit on which to overtake without having provoked a mistake from the car in front. And both Philip Ellis and Max Hofer ahead of him have not made any mistakes. And as Ernst Moser, the head of the Phoenix Racing team, along with Max Hofer, look on because the first victory goes their way. Philip Ellis brings the car home in P1. P2 goes the way of the Lamborghini Huracan. However, the joy in P2 is short-lived because they were excluded. In fact, all the Lamborghinis were excluded from the race after a telemetry system was found in all 3 Lamborghini cars that is not allowed under the sporting regulations. So that means that the van der Lindes move up to P2 and Mikkel Jensen and Timo Scheider achieve P3. So Max Hofer and Philip Ellis celebrate their win, and let's hear from one half of the driver combo.
Well, Max delivered a perfect qualifying this morning, and kind of unexpected. I mean, we know that we were fast and had some good pace, but that he put it on pole was just amazing. And then his first stint as well was almost close to perfect. And you know, my first stint then coming out of the pits right before the Lambo as well. And from there on, he was pushing me the whole stint, and I was kind of happy when I saw the checkered flag.
So Philip Ellis then, being very honest, he was very happy when he saw that checkered flag, because sure enough, he was chased the whole way. So the podium then, and do bear in mind that the GRT Lamborghinis are taken out of the result as Herman Tomczyk, the ADAC Sport President, makes the trophy presentation first of all to Philip Ellis and then to Max Hofer. But we do know in the ADAC GT Masters that success in race 1 doesn't necessarily guarantee success in race 2. So to try and overcome the disappointment of the Race 1 exclusions, the Lamborghini set their stall out in qualifying by putting 2 cars on the front row of the grid. Rolf Nijken and Christian Engelhardt then will be going from P1 on the grid, and that front row lockout from Lamborghini means that Mirko Bortolotti and Andrea Caldarelli will be going from P2 on the grid. Very good qualifying from Oscar Tunio and Jake Dennis in the Phoenix Racing Audi R8 LMS. They finished P10 in race 1. They'll be going from P3 in race number 2. They're the number 6 car driven by Oscar Tunio and the young British star Jake Dennis. So the cars off on their formation lap then ahead of the start of race number 2. The 2 Lamborghinis side by side as they break the timing beam and get the green flag. Keep your eyes on Jake Dennis in the Audi then, who's trying to split the 2 Lamborghinis. He's unable to do so. A really hard charge, though, coming from the HB Racing Ferrari 488, though, that is driven by Luca Ludwig and Dominic Schweger, as around goes the number 33 car of Philippe Salaquada and Frank Stippler. That finds itself in the gravel. A big battle is going on between Dries Vanthoor and Kelvin van der Linde. They're arguing over that P9, P10 position at the moment, but Christian Engelhardt leading the way. P3 driver Jake Dennis is being chased hard now by the HB Racing Ferrari of Luca Ludwig, who had a really good start. And looking on board, looking back at the Mercedes-Benz there. Here comes P1, P2 and P3, but Kelvin van der Linde is in the gravel. So the Monteplas by Land motorsport car of Kelvin van der Linde snaps away, as you can see, whether something broke on the back of the car. But Kelvin van der Linde is beached in the gravel, and Sheldon van der Linde's head is in his hands. No further part to play in this race for the van der Linde brothers. This was the good start that I was talking about from Luca Ludwig. We know what an aggressive charging racer Luca Ludwig can be, and certainly making his intentions felt right at the start of the race. Getting past Jake Dennis now. So Luka Ludwig finds himself up into P3. Jake Dennis receives just a little bit of a nerf from the Mercedes-Benz behind, and they're side by side now. I can't help but wonder whether there's perhaps just a bit of an issue with that Audi, because it is really dropping down the order now. The Car Collection Motorsport Mercedes-Benz of Lance David Arnold and Christopher Friedrich has gone through, and here comes the Man Filters liveried Mercedes-Benz as well, and so many cars are going past Jake Dennis's Phoenix Racing Audi. There must be a problem with the car. Pit window is open, and it is the number 82 car of Christian Engelhardt that continues to lead. There's Rolf Nijken then preparing to get into the car and take over the driving duties. They choose not to dive into the pit lane at this moment. P1 and P2 staying out there, so Engelhardt and Caldarelli, and there is Mirko Bortolotti, who's going to jump into the car that is running in P2, and sure enough there is that car now as in comes Andrea Caldarelli. Out he will get, Mirko Bortolotti will get into the car. 3 minutes remaining in the pit window, so leaving it quite late. But out comes Mirko Bortolotti now. In comes the number 82 car of Christian Engelhardt and Rolf Nijken. Of course, both those Lamborghinis that you're seeing from the same team. GRT Grasser team, Orange won by GRT Grasser to give them the official title. And I just think Mirko Bortolotti is going to be a lot closer to the P1 car than he was. Strife for Marvin Kirchhofer and Daniel Kalwitz as the car refuses to start, and that really delays them in the pit lane. So here then is Rolf Nijken that is leading from Mirko Bortolotti, but Bortolotti almost right alongside him now. Now on the outside he will try and get underneath the car. Now he does get underneath the car. Rolf Nijken really rather seems to leave the door open for Mirko Bortolotti to take over the lead of this race. So it's still Lamborghini's P1 and P2, but the positions are altered as we now see the number 63 car of Mirko Bortolotti and Andrea Caldarelli leading from the number 82 car of Christian Engelhardt and Rolf Nijken on board. You can see the door was really left open there by Rolf Nijken, and Mirko Bortolotti had no problem slotting himself into that P1 position. We knew the pace of the Lamborghinis in the race yesterday, despite the fact they were taken out of the race result because of a technical infringement. And here we can see the Philipp Geipel and Rahul Frey car making contact with the number 11 machine of Elia Earhart and Pierre Kaffer, the EFP by TC Audi R8 LMS, which has to come into the pit lane. We're on board with Indy Dontje now. And Indy Dontje trying to make his way past the number 20 car of Kim Louis Schramm, and he's quite physical in the way that he does it, as you can see here from being on board. Just a little tap on the back of the Kim Louis Schramm car unsettles it, puts it in the gravel, means that the safety car is out, which of course throws away the advantage that Mirko Bortolotti had in terms of having built up something of a comfort margin. However, in this, the very late stages of the race and the safety car being called for when it is, whether we're going to get any more racing laps, I don't know. As you can see, the clock has counted down almost to 45 seconds as we can see the Kim Louis Schramm car being really rather unceremoniously taken off the circuit. So Mirko Bortolotti is not going to have to work too hard, I don't think. We may well be finishing this race under the safety car, although the safety car is going to come in this lap, which means we will get one more racing lap then before the end of this race. Drive-through penalty has been awarded to Indy Dontje for that little tap on Kim Louis Schramm, and here comes Dominik Schweger then. Dominik Schweger P3 getting past that back marking car, so it's Lamborghini P1 and P2. Then it is Dominik Schweger in P3. Around turn 14 for the final time then, and heading towards the checkered flag. Well, Lamborghini succeed where they didn't yesterday by taking P1 and P2, and a great drive from Luka Ludwig and Dominik Schweger. There is Luka Ludwig celebrating that P3 position, and Mirko Bortolotti very happy inside the car as well. So confirmation of the top three then. It is Bortolotti and Caldarelli P1, Nijken and Engelhardt P2, P3 Schweger and Ludwig.
We had a good pace, and I think we were quicker than the guys in front, but it was very difficult to overtake, so it was bit frustrating for us, but at the end we scored good points. The team did a great job all the weekend, so it's a good point for the championship.
And Andrea Caldarelli, as you can see, is one of 4 drivers contesting the top spot in the Drivers' Championship at the moment. Gottfried Grasser's team then celebrating their P1 and P2 position on the podium here at Oschersleben. The truly excellent ADAC Formula 4 single-seater series for junior talent making their way in motor racing has 3 races here at Oschersleben, and Lirim Zendelli, a returnee to the championship, doing a very good job in qualifying and also hoping to do a good job in the race as well. They have a phenomenal season in front of them, where they will have 2 races in support of the German GP as well. There's always plenty of action to entertain the very big crowd here at Oschersleben, and around goes Ido Cohen and also the car of Leon Koffler. That provokes a safety car and provokes this reaction from Ralf Schumacher from US Racing. So at the restart then, have to do it all over again with just under 9 minutes of the race remaining, and one of the young fans and potential young stars of the future. And you can see this new sweeping turn number 1. It does catch 1 or 2 drivers out, including the number 14 car of Leonardo Lorandi, driving for the KDC racing team. From the starter's gantry, you can see that that car is left in a perilous position, therefore a safety car has to be called for right at the end of the race, which is a shame because it means that we will see the checkered flag and the yellow flag combination right at the end of the race, as one of the Van Amersfoort drivers goes around as well and is into the gravel. Just think that the rain is beginning to fall now, as you can see from the wipers on the safety car, so really challenging the drivers right at the end of this race. Sure enough, there is the checkers and yellow combination, which confirms the result of Lirim Zendelli taking P1 for US Racing, Mick Wieshofer for US Racing takes P2, and Liam Lawson for Van Amersfoort Racing takes P3. David Schumacher finishes P5 for US Racing, and he will be the best of the rookies, and we will see him on the podium. Let's hear from our race winner now.
Yeah, the race was quite hard to manage because of the rain, but finally I have 25 points and I'm happy about that. That's what I wanted to achieve, and yeah, we'll see in the race too.
Both Gerhard Unger and Ralf Schumacher applaud on the podium then, as Lirim Zendelli receives his trophy for the win. So we go down onto the grid then for race number 2, which is just 5 minutes away from starting, as you can see from the starter's gantry. P1 on the grid for Lirim Zendelli, once again for US Racing, who'll be hoping to make it 2 out of 2. The driver that finished P6 in race 1, Frederik Vesti, will be hoping for good things as well. And let's see as it all plays out now as the start of race 2 is underway. Another one that's hard charging is Andreas Essner, also in the Neuhauser all-yellow car. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be one potentially to watch as they make their way around the outside of the first sequence of turns. And going out early on is the number 28 car, the US Racing driver Mick Wieshofer, who finds himself in the gravel. The number 28 car, as you can see. Mick Wieshofer, of course, finished P2 in race 1, and certainly isn't going to finish in that position, as it's Zendelli that leads from Frederik Vesti, and then it's Enzo Fittipaldi as Aaron Decamberti and Tom Beckhauser make contact. That breaks the front wing on the number 13 car of Aaron Decamberti. He skates across the gravel and the grass, but is able to return out onto the track. And now Tom Beckhauser is under pressure from the hard-charging number 27 car of David Schumacher, who, of course, we saw on the podium at the end of race 1 as best of the rookies. But Lirim Zendelli makes it 2 out of 2 from Frederik Vesti, who takes P2. Enzo Fittipaldi is P3. So 2 out of 2 for this young man.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. It's just the first race. It's just now the second race, but both with a victory. And yeah, it could have been easier without going in the gravel, but yeah, it is how it is, and I think 50 points is okay.
Gianluca Petikov then was the best of the rookies. He actually finished the race in 7th place, but he joins the 1, 2, 3 on the podium, collects his trophy, and also takes part in the celebrations too. Oliver Caldwell goes from pole position for race number 3, which was going to be another drama-filled race. Not only for the fact that the race 1 and race 2 winner, Lirim Zendelli, ends up in the barriers, as you can see, going backwards, first of all through one of the Pirelli advertising hoardings, then making contact with the concrete and Armco. Lirim Zendelli was out of the race. There was plenty of other drama as well, as Gianluca Petikov and Andreas Essner comes together. That means Essner is out, and then Leonardo Lorandi makes contact with Gianluca Petikov. At the end of what was a very dramatic race, Ollie Caldwell wins.
Yeah, it was really good, especially after, you know, a disappointing qualifying yesterday. We managed to get the reverse grid pole, and we just held it from there. You know, the car felt really good. we just managed to have a really good pace throughout the whole race.
So the 1, 2, 3, Oliver Caldwell, Enzo Fittipaldi, Charles Viert. So P1, P2 to Prema Theodore Racing, and Grazia Troncon looks on then. In the Drivers' Championship, Liram Zendelli is on 50 points. So Ollie Caldwell receives his first trophy in ADAC Formula 4. The ADAC TCR Germany Touring Car Championship with Florian Thoma and Mike Halder on the front row of the grid. Harold Prochik lurking behind on row 2 as the first race gets underway. Very good charge from Sandro Kaibach in the Audi there from much further down the order. But as they go into turn number 1, Florian Thoma, is he going to be first through turn number 1? Mike Halder and Harold Prochik, as there is contact between Florian Thoma and Mike Halder, and that plays into the hands of Harold Prochik, who goes through to take up the lead of the race. There you can see there is no coming back for Florian Thoma, the Team Engstler driver. And there we can see it again. There was contact between those two cars, and, well, sadly, that's the end of the race for Florian Thoma. Niels Langefeld that we were on board with then, and here comes Antti Bury, who, returning onto the track, makes contact with the number 88 Dominic Fugel car, and that fires the Dominic Fugel car into the barriers. So Dominic Fugel, a completely innocent bystander there, as Antti Bury got out wide onto the grass, made his return to the tarmac, but in so doing made contact with the Dominic Fugel car, which is into the barriers.
In my opinion, Bury doesn't have a good exit, and he come back on the track, and he crashed into me, and I crashed into the wall.
Well, good to see that Dominic Fugel is okay. The car, of course, sustained significant damage. Drive-through penalty has been awarded to the number 7 car, Mike Halder. That for the earlier incident with Florian Thoma. He gets a drive-through penalty. As you can see, the dark clouds looming overhead. One of the most impressive drives has come from the number 10 car of Benjamin Leuchter, who started right at the back of the grid. And as you can see from the graphics on the left-hand side, he's up to P11 in the race. So from the back of the grid, he's up to P11. Very, very good driving indeed. Should also mention Niels Langefeld, who is P2. But as the checkered flag falls, it is Harold Prochik that will take the win from Niels Langefeld and Luca Engstler, P2 and P3. So the Opel Astra TCR then victorious in race 1 of 2 ADAC TCR races this weekend. Prochik, Langefeld, Engstler. Here is the race winner now.
I'm really happy, absolutely satisfied. It was a big surprise for me, for the whole team. First race, first victory, and but we have for sure a bit of luck also, but it's part of the game.
You're absolutely right, Harold Prochik, then. It is part of the game. Sometimes the luck is good, and sometimes the luck is bad. On this occasion, it was good. And P1 position on the top step of the podium for Harold Prochik. It's race 2 next. There is a fantastic mix of cars in ADAC TCR. Cooper Leon TCR goes from pole 1 for Petra Fullin. Then it's Luca Engstler in the VW Golf GTI. And then we find Antti Bury then in the Audi L3 LMS going from P3 on the grid. As the lights go out, it's a blistering start from Antti Bury. Is it too good a start? He splits P1 and P2 and finds himself in the race lead before he even makes it into turn number 1. So a fantastic start from Antti Bury then in the Audi. He is P1, P2 is Petra Fullin, P3 is Luca Engstler as the cars make their way through the first sequence of turns here at Oschersleben in their second race in ADAC TCR this weekend. As around goes Simon Riker, saves it, then loses it again and is collected by a number of cars. I really thought that Simon had got the car under control as he made his way back onto the tarmac, but then the back end of the car stepped out, and the consequences of that are enormous, especially for the Fugels. You'll recall it was Dominic Fugel in strife yesterday. Well, it is Marcel Fugel that has picked up a load of damage in this collision now. Simon Riker's car spinning around then, and a load of drivers completely unsighted, had absolutely nowhere to go, including the car of Marcel Fugel then, which is really damaged. So too is the car of Harold Prochik, although extensive use of gaffer tape means that that car can restart. Talking of starts, Antti Bury, we mentioned he had a blistering start. Well, it was too blistering. He has got a drive-through penalty for a jump start. So Antti Bury, there you can see, does go before the lights are out. So he picks up a drive-through penalty, which means the lead will go the way of Petra Fullin. And there is Antti Bury taking Here's a drive-through penalty, and Mike Halder and Petra Fullin side by side now. Mike Halder will try and get underneath the Petra Fullin car now, does so successfully. So Mike Halder takes up the lead of the race from Petra Fullin P2, and another good drive from Niels Langefeld, who will take P3. Another hugely exciting race from ADAC TCR with Halder, Fullin and Langefeld, the 1, 2, 3. Let's hear from our race winner now.
I
had a good fight with Petra in the last lap. I could take the lead and claim my first victory. So as the podium ceremony sees Mike Halder on the top step, it's goodbye from a great season start in Oschersleben. The next GT Masters event in Most in the Czech Republic between the 27th and the 29th of April. Season opener of the ADAC GT Masters 2018 in Oschersleben. The Super Sportscar League enters its 12th season. In the Magdeburger border, also the ADAC Formula 4 and ADAC TCR Germany will be staging their first races. New manufacturers and big names, fans of the ADAC GT Masters can look forward to an exciting season. Two new brands. Ferrari is back. Honda is new. We have big names in the driver's squad with high quality like Timo Scheider and Timo Bernhard, former champions of DTM and WEC. First race, first surprise. The rookie duo Max Hofer and Philip Ellis beat the experienced drivers of the series to victory in the Audi R8 LMS from Phoenix Racing.
Well, Max delivered a perfect qualifying this morning, and kind of unexpected. I mean, we know that we were fast and had some good pace, but that he put it on pole was just amazing. And then his first stint as well was almost close to perfect. And you know, my first stint then coming out of the pits right before the Lambo as well. And from there on, he was pushing me the whole stint, and I was kind of happy when I saw the checkered flag.
In the second race, the GRT Grasser team manages a double victory. Ferrari's in third place at its comeback event. Lirim Zendelli dominates the opening weekend in the ADAC Formula 4. The US racing driver wins the first two races and thus leads the overall standings.
I really didn't expect that I'm gonna win both races. It's an amazing feeling, and it's amazing what a great job this team is doing. And yeah, now 50 points for me, championship leader.
In race 3, the British driver Oliver Caldwell celebrates his very first triumph in ADAC's Young Talent Series. Premier victory also in the ADAC TCR Germany. Mike Halder is at the top of the podium for the first time in the Touring Car Series on Sunday. In the first race, the Austrian Harold Procek was fastest. A successful start for the ADAC GT Masters at Oschersleben. The next stop is Most in the Czech Republic.
There are a lot of good engineers in Formula 1, but we don't just want good, we want exceptional.
The engineers get their place on the Infinity Engineering Academy by winning their regional final.
So the academy in full.
We're all engineers and we're passionate for cars.
I'm really excited to get my hands dirty.
Yeah, it's Disneyland for engineering.
The engineer proves themselves to be the very best. They're going to be given a place on the Renault Sport Formula 1 team in Melbourne.
Obviously I'm very nervous. There's 6 other very competitive people.
They're being thrust into an environment that's very new to them.
Push. You can be super intelligent, have all the answers, but if you cannot communicate that to the driver, you're no better off.
It's terrible.
I agree.
Get a redo if he spins up?
No, I'm afraid not. You've got 5 minutes to make your final adjustments.
Being able to work under pressure is absolutely vital.
This is a bit out of my comfort zone.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
The clock is ticking.
They were too slow. They were disqualified.
There, thumbs up.
We've come to the end, yeah? There's no other way of putting it.
It's going to be interesting.
Welcome along everybody to Monza, the historic circuit in northern Italy, ready for the first race of the weekend for the Formula Renault Euro Cup. It's the second weekend of action in the 2018 season, and a quick turnaround for the teams and drivers after we were at Paul Ricard at Le Castellet in France just one weekend ago. So back-to-back meetings, which will be a feature of the calendar, and we've got a very busy grid of 28 cars all lined up ready for what will be a 30 minutes plus 1 lap race. Here you can see just how hot it is at the moment. It's 30 degrees air temperature, even hotter the track temperature. When I came to the circuit at 8 o'clock this morning, it was already 18 degrees. Qualifying this morning was the very first session of the day between 9 and 9:30, and by that point the temperatures were around about 20 degrees, so a good 10 degrees cooler than we've got now. The qualifying, as was the case at Paul Ricard, was divided into 2 groups, so 14 cars in each group, and the first group were much slower than the second group, and that was purely because the track was still green from the temperatures coming up and from yesterday's sessions. So the fastest time in the first group was set by the championship leader Max Futrell, but actually overall he was only the 8th quickest. The time's getting quicker and quicker through both sessions. So in the end, it was an historic pole position for Yifi Yi, the Chinese driver, who becomes the first ever Chinese driver to line up on pole position in a Formula Renault Euro Cup race. He's here with the Joseph Kaufmann racing team, which have been all conquering for the last 2 seasons. They have won the Drivers' Championship title, and Yifi had a very good start to the season last weekend. Got on the podium and scored well in both races to run in second place coming into this weekend behind Max Futrell, the former British Formula 4 champion, who had a win and a second. He got pole position both times out at Paul Ricard, but a clutch issue meant that he had a slightly off-colour start in race 1 and was never able to find a way back past fellow front row starter Logan Sargent, the American driver, another refugee from the British Formula 4 Championship, who took his maiden race victory in his first full season of the championship. There is Yifi Yi, the Chinese driver, on pole position then, and he, as well as looking to become a historic first ever Chinese race winner in the championship, is of course looking for his maiden victory. Alongside him is one of the 4 drivers in the traditional yellow and black colour scheme of Renault, Christian Lundgaard, and Christian going really well this weekend. He is a driver with a good pedigree, but he's new to the championship, and he, along with various other drivers, including the championship leader Max Futrell, part of the Renault Sport Academy, being backed by Renault in terms of their racing future. It's the second year in this scheme for Christian, son of Henrik Lundgaard, the former rallycross expert. There is Max Futrell, the championship leader, who for this one is going to line up on the second row of the grid, and he has got 43 points in the championship after a win and a second last time out. Yifi Yi has got 33 points with the 2 podium finishes that he scored, and Christian Lundgaard is 3rd in the championship standings. Richard Verschoor was not well last weekend. He was really ill, and it was a tough weekend for him. He did well to get into the car by all accounts, but he's feeling much better this weekend. Had a chat with him yesterday, and although he'd had some issues with the brakes on his car during the free practice sessions, they sorted that out for qualifying, and he was able to go a second quicker than he was going in the collective test yesterday. Alexander Smoliar is having a very good weekend so far as well. The Russian driver had some issues with his throttle last time out at Paul Ricard, which caused the car to stop out in the practice session yesterday afternoon as well, but that's been rectified, so he starts high up the grid. Lorenzo Colombo had a mixed weekend, I think it's fair to say, at Paul Ricard last time out. He was mighty quick, the Italian. However, he did also pick up a penalty for a collision with Luis Guzman, so he's actually qualified higher up than he appears on the grid, but he's got a 4-place grid penalty, which has shuffled the grid somewhat. So as ever, it's the fastest driver from the fastest group that gets pole position, and the fastest driver from the second fastest group runs up next then, but the order has changed because of this 4-place grid penalty for everybody behind, for the first few rows at least, everybody behind the pole sitter Yi. Alex Peroni, one of several very quick young Australian drivers that we've got here in Italy, is hoping for a much better weekend. He and his teammates at MP Motorsports last weekend, Max Stefani having pretty off-colour weekend. Charles Milesi, the number 3 car there, might be one to watch. He completes the top 10 on the grid, so it's Yi and Lundgaard on row 1, Futrell and Verschoor on row 2. Verschoor having a much better qualifying than he had last time out when he was ill. He was 9th on the grid for both races there, so he's looking good, and he was confident when I spoke to him that he could go even quicker. He lost time trying to resolve this brake issue in free practice, so he was feeling very confident as we head off onto the formation lap. And then on the third row of the grids, Alexander Smolyar, the Russian driver, already looking much sharper than he looked in the opening weekend at Paul Ricard. Spoke to Alexander yesterday as well, and I asked him, do you bother going back home to Russia in between the two race weekends? Because obviously they finished on Sunday, they're back here. It was a collective test on Thursday, an official test session on Thursday, and he said no, just went to the team headquarters, spent some time with the team, and then came straight from France to Italy. But still resides in Russia. He has been here before in the winter test, but obviously with very different conditions. So the cars and the drivers head around this formation lap, just tuning their brains in and their minds in now, getting ready for the start of this race. They've already been in and around the cars for the last hour or so, doing lots of training, physical exercises to build up their bodies and hand-eye coordination. As we see the grids with Ian Lundgaard on row 1. Futrell, the championship leader, and for sure confirmed on row 2 of the grid. Smolyar, the best so far this season, and Colombo line up on the third row of the grid. Colombo, the Italian, with lots of home support here. Martins and Piastri, Oscar Piastri, runner-up in last year's British F4 Championship, are on row 4. Peroni and Milesi will look to score good points here from the 5th row of the grid. And then we've got De Forny, who has finished in the top 4 of this championship for a couple of seasons, and Bird, who has gone really well in qualifying. And then the 7th and 8th rows. You look back then to the 8th row of the grid to find Logan Sargent, who was the winner of the opening round last weekend, and was looking like he was going to score another podium in race 2, until when we were behind the safety car, he stopped out on track. And the reason for that was an engine problem, an engine issue for him. So real highs and lows for him. As we see the rest of the grid, there are 28 drivers, 14 of them this season are rookies, and this is truly an international championship, not just in terms of the circuits and the countries that we visit. 9 of the rounds this year out of the 10 will be held on circuits which are hosting Formula 1 Grand Prix, but also it's international in terms of the driver makeup of the series. We have got 28 drivers, as I said, and they represent 16 different countries. So not just drivers from Europe, but we have 5 continents represented: Australasia, Africa, Samitarik from Morocco, drivers from North and South America, and all across Europe getting ready for this race weekend. So the cars making their way towards the end of the lap. It's 5.8 kilometres long. It's fairly similar length lap-wise in terms of distance to Paul Ricard last time out, but the lap times are around about 15 seconds a lap quicker than we had in France last weekend, and that's because they're full throttle for 78% of the lap here. The top speeds are pretty astonishing. These drivers are 17, 18, 19 years of age, and they were hitting nearly 250 kilometres an hour down the straights. It's not too bad on the tyres, although we've got longer races this year, and it is a lot hotter than it's been so far this weekend. It's brakes that are more of an issue around this circuit, because you've got a lot of long straights and then heavy braking down into chicanes, and of course it's a chicane to start with. Turn 1 is going to be a tight squeeze through the right and left of Variante de Retifilio, and then they accelerate up to top gear, 7th gear through Curve Grande, flat out through there before they hit the next chicane again, where it all tightens up. And then at the back of the circuit there are some tricky corners where the exit is absolutely critical to get a good run up the straight. So the green flag is waved, ready for race 3 of the year, the first race of the weekend for the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Chris Hartley trackside to talk you through the action as the race gets underway, and he makes a good start from pole position. Lundgaard tucks in behind him. Max Futrell is going to line astern as well, go 3rd, and then everybody else looks like they've got off the line pretty well here. He knows it's going to be difficult. There's wheel bagging there between Futrell and Lundgaard. The two come together, the two Sport Academy drivers. Will he be able to cut the corner and get back on the track there after going down the escape route? And also we've got another one off there on the route out. That looks like, I'm afraid, Alex Peroni, or Max De Forny rather, who has had a bit of contact as well and ran out wide. Meanwhile, Yi is coming under threat here as they go through Curve Grande. He's going to give everybody a massive tow. The tow is worth half a second a lap here at times. Lundgaard in 2nd place. Futrell, the one that dropped back with the wheel banging incident. Colombo's made a good start. He's 3rd. Then it's Vershaw running in 4th place in the orange and black machinery just behind. More action coming from Victor Martins in the number 4 car, another of the bright yellow and black Renault Sport Academy drivers as he tries to work his way further up inside the top 6. Frank Bird, I think, has lost a place or two in the number 24 car, the British driver in his first weekend, first year of Formula Renault Euro Cup action. There he is in the 24 car, his teammate just ahead, and now surrounding Max Futrell at the moment in the number 1 car, who had that incident with Christian Lundgaard. The two know each other pretty well, so he's down to 9th place. He tucks in just behind Thomas Neubauer in the number 23 car. There you can see the Red Bull liveried car of an American driver who did pretty well last weekend, scored 2 top 10 finishes. Neil Verhagen, as running out wide there is the 54 car of Christian Munoz, one of the AVF team drivers run by Andrea Valles, the ex-Formula 1 test driver. But he survives, and is there going to be a move here from Frank Bird? Is he going to lose a place, possibly in the 24 car? You've got a tighter inside line, but you can carry speed around the outside. You've got to be careful on the exit, though, not to run too wide over the curbs of Parabolica as they come towards the end of the first lap of the race. He has held on to the lead from Lundgaard. Colombo with a very good start in 3rd. Then for sure, Martins and Smollier rounding out the top 6. There you can see them working their way through the order. Smollier weaving this way, then that to try and find a way past for sure. Smollier in the red, white and blue colour scheme. Smollier didn't find a way through and now has to go a little bit defensive on the exit through Curva Grande, and then they'll go down towards the 3rd gear corner and drop down to around about 108, 109 kilometres an hour for the next chicane. Some good overtaking opportunities on the brakes though. To Martins there in the number 4 car, drawing alongside Smollier, but can't find a way through. Charmelese just behind, I think holding on to his position coming under attack from Alex Peroni, whose teammate Max Deforny went wide, and unfortunately out is the other Russian driver, Alexander Vartanyan. He's pointing in the wrong direction. The marshal's going to attend his cars. That's one of the Arden cars, the team run by Gary Horner, father of Christian Horner. The team set up to run Christian in Formula 3000 back in 1997 when he was competing against the likes of Juan Pablo Montoya. They've gone on to achieve huge success over the years in various international single-seater categories. Here's Neil Verhagen having a good battle with one of the Spanish drivers in the field there, another of the AVF drivers, which is Alicia Martinez. Martinez can't quite find his way through, and now Smollier having another luck, showing his nose again to try and find a way past for sure in this battle for 4th place. To Martins was the one that was all over him and getting through, and here they come out of Parabolic. You can see yellow flags waving and a safety car possibly about to be deployed. Keep an eye on that. Yes, it is. So the safety car coming out of the pit lane at the end of the 2nd lap of racing to pick up the race leader, Yiffy Yi. So the Chinese driver, who hadn't got much of a lead anyway, is now going to have them all queued up behind him, and their confirmation that the safety car has been deployed. Now, amongst the drivers that haven't come through is Max Futrell, the championship leader. So he didn't get any further than the 2nd lap of the race. There you can see Vartanyan's car, which is the Russian driver who we saw stopped out on circuit. And we've also lost another, which I think, yes, is Najib Razak, the Malaysian driver, one of the drivers for the JD Motorsport team, which is the only Italian team in the field. So that car being winched away. There is a newcomer this weekend, Christian Hahn, the Brazilian driver in the luminous yellow and black colour scheme there. He joins this weekend's the Fortex squad, Richard Dutton's all-conquering team, who won so many Formula Renault titles it's almost impossible to count. So he has joined. He's also was concentrating this year on the Euro Formula Open Championship, which is for Formula 3 level cars, and that's the reason he wasn't with us at Paul Ricard last weekend, because he was busy racing at Estoril in Portugal. So the driver there having his first outing. We're going to get a replay of the start as the rear-facing shot. You can see them getting off the line. Nobody standing out as having a particularly good or bad start. They all kind of held station, certainly in the first 3 or 4 rows of the grid. It's a long run down towards the corner. And there, the contact between Lundgaard and Futrell, who was sent running off wide, hit the marker board, and then disappeared off down the escape route. He did rejoin, but I wonder if the damage sustained from that is what's caused him to go out, or has he had another incident since then? And then we saw Max Deforny, the Belgian driver, who's been one of the front runners in this championship for a few seasons now, being sent out wide as well. And there was Smollier trying but failing to get past Verschoor, and Martins then getting stuck in between them in the number 4 car. Victor Martins in the one of the RAce GP cars. There we saw in trouble Christian Munutz as well. And we go back live to the cars. Still, despite the fact that it's 30 degrees, trying to keep some heat in the tyres, ready for the restart. So Yi leading the way in his second season in the championship. One of the drivers that's come back for a second, some of them in some cases even back for a third year in the championship. And he's a really amiable guy to talk to, very switched on, very down to earth. You don't feel like you're talking to a 17-year-old as the green flag waves and the race gets back up to speed. And how about that for a restart? He's absolutely nailed that, hasn't he? Nobody's going to pressurise him, but there will be pressure for Richard Verschoor here, the Dutch driver, who's come under attack from Alexander Smoljar. Going to try and run alongside him. He's going to have the inside line. Watch for Victor Martins just behind as well. Lock up for Verschoor. He can't stop the rushing from coming through, and Smoljar gains 4th place. So that was a nice restart by him. Verschoor couldn't really do much about that. He was giving a huge tow to the Russian down the straight, and Smoljar was able to find a way through at the chicane, and now he's got to try and fend off others like Victor Martins, who is all over the back of him. Look, and he might have the inside line for the chicane now as well in the bright yellow number 4 car. No, he can't get through. Inside line covered. Richard Verschoor keeps the racing line and holds on just about to his 5th position, but again Victor Martins showing his nose. Just behind then Alex Peroni having a good race after a disappointing weekend last time out. The bright orange car, bright orange and blue with the yellow windmirrors just behind. 18-year-old from Tasmania. A couple of years ago won the French V2V Championship with a pretty astonishing 15 wins and 22 podiums, and at the time, at age 16, he was the youngest ever Australian to win a single-seater championship in Europe. So good to see Alex having a good run here. Just behind him, the number 3 car of Charles Milesi, another of the RAce GP squad, which run championship leader coming into this weekend, Max Futrell. So very frustrating for Max to be out so early on in the race. In fact, he's got going again, but he's down in 25th position, so right at the back of the field. Still on the lead lap though, but it just depends how well the car is working, as Frank Bird here goes wheel to wheel with another Australian driver, Thomas Maxwell, in the green and white car. Maxwell runs out wide, and Frank Bird has got the position, and Neil Verhagen in the Red Bull liveried car is going to try and get in on the action as well. Great racing here. The 3 of them are going to be neck and neck when they get down towards the chicane. Frank Bird in 11th place, just outside the points, top 10 score points. Neil Verhagen's going to get a double slingshot here, and the American is going to try and fire his way through. Further ahead, Richard Verschoor has a lock up there, goes straight on down the escape road, so he's going to lose at least 1 place. Victor Martins is going to get through, and there is Thomas Maxwell just about fending off Verhagen. Verhagen, I thought, was going to get through because he got almost a double toe down towards the first chicane, but it wasn't to be. So terrific battles going on all the way down to around about 15th, 16th place. So they weren't really spread out before the safety car, but they're even more tightly bunched now. There is Verschoor, who's rejoined just in front of the 3 car of Milesi. So lost a couple of positions. Remember, he was on the 2nd row of the grid, but he lost, a reasonable amount of good running in practice with this brake issue that he was having, the soft brake. Another one that not complained, but said he'd had issues with his brakes in the early part of the weekend, and the test on Thursday was Raul Guzman, one of the Mexican drivers. He had the opposite problem. Rather than a soft, long pedal, the brakes kept locking up, so he was definitely struggling with that. After showing good pace, didn't score points at Paul Ricard, but he looked like he was well capable of running in the top 10. So Yi leads, Lundgaard in 2nd, Colombo 3rd, Smoljar to 4th place. Sure, having dropped a couple of positions just in front of Alex Peroni now, running in the top 10, looking for some good points, and Year's just edged away here, 151.4 last time around versus a 151.7 for Lundgaard in 2nd, so he's got the gap out to nearly a second now as Frank Bird goes wheel to wheel again here to try and hold on to position. This time it's with Arthur Rougier, and again showing good pace here, Frank. These are difficult cars to learn. Pretty much every driver I spoke to over the last couple of weekends have told me that the Renault is a difficult car to master. Back end really does dance around. You have to be so careful. You have to almost drive it to the point where the back end is loose to get the most from it. But Frank is adapting well. Not been racing too long. Started his career in the Ginetta Junior Championship. Frank Bird there behind Rougier. So he dropped 1, but he has at least been able to fend off Thomas Maxwell, who was one of the drivers that made up the most places last weekend. He came from the 10th row of the grid to get up into the points in the first race of the weekend. He actually finished 11th on the road, but then got promoted later on, and he's going to get at the inside here as they go through Curva Grande, and Thomas Maxwell gains a place on Frank Bird as we cut forward to the battle between Richard Bachor, number 12, trying to fend off Charles Milesi. Bachor down to 7th place now after that lock-up at the end of the previous lap. Back to the battle between 62, Thomas Maxwell, and number 24, Frank Bird, and Neil Verhagen just behind them as well. These three just outside the top 10, just outside the points. They'll be keen not to hold each other up too much, because that may allow the top 10 to get away. And a glance there of number 2, Logan Sargent, winner last weekend, but with a lowly grid position. He's moving forwards slowly, so he's up to 14th now, and only 4 places away from the top 10. The American driver, who looked oh so comfortable, having got the lead of the race last time out in round 1. Incidents to be investigated after the race between Lovaras, number 51, number 63, Razak, and number 42, Alexander Vartanyan, which put those 3 cars out and brought out the safety car. Max Futrell still not gaining ground as Neil Verhagen has a look at the inside. These 2 American drivers running absolutely wheel to wheel here. Logan Sargent in the number 2 car, Neil Verhagen just behind. He pulled off some good moves last weekend at Paul Ricard as well on the circuit, which is much more difficult to overtake on than we have here at Monza. A 17-year-old from New York. Welcome along to Monza in the beautiful sunshine in northern Italy, ready for the second race of the weekend for the Formula Renault Euro Cup, round 4 of the 2018 season. The cars, as you can see, are on the grid. The umbrellas are up to try and protect the drivers. Yesterday it was as high as 30 degrees air temperature and just under 32 degrees track temperature. We're here at this most historic of venues, the Monza circuit, originally built all the way back in 1922. There you can see it's almost as hot as it was yesterday, just half a degree less. So it's going to be a tough call this for the drivers in a half-hour plus 1 lap race. We're set in the Royal Villa of Monza Park, which is the largest city park in Europe. So all around the circuit there are people jogging, riding bikes, going for picnics, and it's a beautiful setting for this track, which was one of the original Formula 1 Grand Prix track in the 1950 inaugural season. Only 4 tracks that were on that original calendar still used by the Formula 1 World Championship, and this is one of them, the others being Silverstone, Spa and Monte Carlo. So it is the fastest track on the calendar for these young drivers. It is a circuit where big braking is required at the end of some very long straights into some pretty tight chicanes. And yesterday we had one or two little niggles and incidents down at turn 1. One of them most notably being between two of the Renault Sport Academy drivers. One of them, Max Futrell, the other, Christian Lundgaard. It was a British driver that came off worst and was sent out wide, lost a load of positions, dropped right down the order, had good race pace thereafter, but was not able to get back in the points. There was a lot of attention for this young man after the race, Lorenzo Colombo, who lives, he was telling me, just about half an hour from here, depending on traffic, which can be quite bad in this part of the world. So he's very local to the circuit. The driver has won here in the past in Italian Formula 4, and the team that runs him is the only Italian squad, JT Motorsport, within the Formula Renault Euro Cup. So they've got good knowledge here, and Lorenzo doing a good job in this morning's qualifying session, which was held at 9 o'clock local time, to get pole position right at the end of the session. He was one of the last drivers through and got his fastest lap right at the end. There, Christian Lundgaard, who was involved in this incident yesterday. Christian's had a very strong start. He's a rookie, but he's been 5th, 3rd and 2nd in the 3 races so far. Max Futrell had a pretty decent qualifying session this morning. As ever, they were split into 2 different groups. Max was in the 2nd quicker group this time. I say quicker group because, like yesterday, the track got quicker and quicker throughout the 35 minutes session. It was 15 minutes for the first group, a 5-minute pause, and then this group went out. So he was 2nd behind Colombo, but only by 65 thousandths of a second. So it's the fastest driver from the fastest group on pole, the fastest driver from the 2nd fastest group alongside. If Ye moved into the championship lead yesterday by making history in becoming the first ever Chinese driver to win a race in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. And he moved on to 58 points. His season gets better and better, 3rd, 2nd and 1st in the 3 races so far. Mighty impressive drive from this young man, Logan Sargent, the American, who won the first round of the season. He did one weekend at Barcelona at the end of last season, but this is essentially his first full campaign. The American charging through from the 8th row of the grid to get himself up into the points yesterday. Richard Verschoor has had a very frustrating start to the year. He was very ill at the opening weekend at Paul Ricard, managed to pick up some points in one of the races, but then he had a technical problem with the sensor in the other. And yesterday he was battling hard and looking like he was going to score some good points in the top 6 as we look at Oscar Piastri, the Australian, another rookie driver in this championship. There were 14 of them. But Richard, we saw stopping in the pits. I spoke to him this morning and Richard said it was a temperature sensor, unfortunately, which put him out of the race yesterday. Max de Fournet has also had a slightly frustrating start to the year. Just the pace and the results weren't quite there for him at Paul Ricard, one of the more experienced drivers in the field. However, Max had a good qualifying session this morning and he had a good drive through the field yesterday after losing a load of places on the opening lap when there was some contact, and he came storming through to pull off some of the best overtaking moves of the race yesterday to get himself up into 9th place and into the points. Smoliar there, the Russian driver Alexander Smoliar, with a very strong 4th place finish yesterday. One of the drivers for the Tech 1 racing team. He has had an 8th and a 4th so far, that 4th place coming yesterday, so he is up into 9th place in the championship standings. Just to give you a quick rundown of the points after yesterday's race, the Joseph Kaufman racing driver on 58 points, 43 for Max Futrell, 43 for Christian Lundgaard, and then Logan Sargent 4th, Lorenzo Colombo, the pole sitter, into 5th place now in the standings. There was still Alex Peroni, the Australian driver, who was another one that had a strong race yesterday, coming through to pick up 5th place. So Alex Peroni with, again, a decent starting position here. The MP Motorsport driver, one of the Dutch teams in the championship, running one of 3 Australians that we've got in the field, and Alex completing the top 10 on the grid for this race. So are we going to get a 4th different winner in 4 races in the 2018 Formula Renault Euro Cup? And can we get through the first corner cleanly through the chicane where it tightens up? They go off the line. There's a long run down towards the Variante del Rettifilo. It is taken in 2nd gear at about 70 kilometers an hour. Then they accelerate up through Curva Grande to 7th gear, top gear, for these 210 brake horsepower cars. 210 brake horsepower So it's pretty impressive. The cars weigh just over half a tonne, so in actual fact it's 400 brake horsepower per tonne for these cars. Lots of air on the cars as well, lots of downforce, and good grip from the Michelin tyres, which they all run, which lasted well yesterday. Lots of drivers were setting personal best lap times, even with a few minutes of the race to go, as the grid is now cleared. So Lorenzo Colombo, the driver, on pole position. He is looking to become the first Italian to win a race in the Formula Renault Euro Cup for what would be 5 years. So you've got to go back to 2013 since an Italian driver last won a race. That was Ignazio D'Agosto, and that was mid-season when he won. So it's very, very close to 5 years since we've had an Italian race winner. That was the year that Pierre Gasly won the championship. Esteban Ocon was also racing in the championship that year, and they are amongst the long, long list of names that have come up through the Formula Renault Euro Cup and progressed now into Formula One, or about to progress into Formula One. The names of Lando Norris, who is linked with Formula One, with the McLaren team, and will no doubt be there in the not too distant future, competing in F2 this year. There's another former winner of the Formula Renault Euro Cup. The long, long list of names goes on and on. Daniel Ricciardo raced in this championship, was a runner-up in the championship. Brendan Hartley was a winner as well back in 2007. So the car's heading off onto the formation lap, ready to do battle once again. It was a very entertaining race yesterday, won by Ifie. Christian Lundgaard was second after the turn 1 incident, and Lorenzo Colombo, who starts this one on pole position, was third yesterday. So it's Colombo and Lundgaard making up the front row of the grid for you. On row 2, Futrell and Ye, two of the real championship contenders. Should be an interesting start this. Then we got Sargent and Verschoor, both very quick so far this year as well. Then on row 4, Oscar Piastri and Basti Forne to start 7th and 8th. Smoliar and Peroni completing the top 10. And then on row 6, it's Otto Rougier. And then we've got Victor Martins, and then 13th and 14th on the grid, the Mexican driver Raul Guzman having a much better day today, Thomas Maxwell. Milesi and Martinez starting on the 8th row of the grid together, and then it's British driver Frank Bird, son of Paul Bird, who is a top running British Superbike Championship team leader and multiple teams and riders champion as well. And then you see the final few rows of the grid. Christian Hahn there, starting 24th, a newcomer this weekend. He was not with us last weekend at Paul Ricard, making his debut this year. So some very quick rookies out there, 14 of them in total. Yeah, yesterday's winner, back for a second season. Christian Lundgaard going very well. Can he get his first win here? Third, second. The last 2 races, so the next natural progression is onto the top step of the podium. He's been quick all weekend long, and you can see why for the second season he is being backed by the Renault Sport Academy. And Max Futrell with an important day here. He was disappointed having got pole position in race 1 at Paul Ricard not to win, finished second on that occasion, but he won on Sunday. He came back very strongly. Obviously big disappointment yesterday. Pace was good. He did actually set the fastest lap of the race in the middle of the race, but he was too far back to come back and score any points after the lap 1 incident. So they know the car is quick, although I haven't spoken with the team boss this morning, Thibaut from the RHGP team, the French squad. He was saying they haven't quite got the edge that they had at Paul Ricard, but you can't expect in a championship which is this close to be front runners every single weekend. But they're there. The race pace they feel is good at RHGP, so we shall see how they get along in this race. So we are about to get round 4 of the championship underway. The last couple of cars just lining up ready for this 30-minute plus 1 lap race. I'm Chris Hartley here, trackside, and ready for some great racing as the green flag is waved at the back of the grid. Lorenzo Colombo pole position, Christian Lundgaard starting second, Max Futrell trying to get the championship lead back in third on the grid. Revs rise and we're away. The clutches have dropped. They charge towards the first chicane for the first time in the race. Lorenzo Colombo with a decent start here. Futrell I think has got a good run as well. Guess who is alongside? That's right, Christian Lundgaard, and he's on the outside, and there's a big hit there in the background. Car going round and round. Oh, and gets collected as well. It could be Peroni. I think that's been collected by 2, 3 other cars involved in that incident. Others I think may have got by but clipped the cars. So a big collision there. not off the line, but as they went up through the gears, and they're so tightly packed that almost inevitable. There was more contact once one car had gone around, and no surprises to see that the safety car has been deployed as a result of that. Good to see drivers getting out of the car. So one of the drivers there, the black car, is Vladimir Turtsis, the Russian driver. And it was sadly Pironi's car that was the one sent spinning around that sort of triggered that off. Turtsis was at the tail end of the grid, so he's picked up the collision. He's out of the car and okay though. And you can see quickly the Monza recovery team and the officials are there straight down to the scene of the incident, first and foremost to make sure that the drivers are okay, and that's what been brought under safety car conditions straight away so they can do their job properly. So there is Lorenzo Colombo, who made a great start to the race. Lots and lots of friends and family made the trip to see him here this weekend. Lundgaard second. Futrell got alongside Lundgaard but wasn't able to find his way through, so he was there running in third place. The championship leader after 3 rounds, Vier, is running in 4th place. Going to get a replay now of the incident. So it was all okay to begin with. Lots of jostling going on up front. It was the mid-pack, so 7th, 8th, 9th downwards. And, okay, I think it was Raul Guzman, who looks like his car, the sun shining on it, that moved offline and clipped wheels with Pironi. Pironi then collected by the other 2 cars. One of them we've identified as being Vladimir Turtsis, the other hidden behind the barrier might be, I think it is, the 63 car of Naji Razak, who was in the walls yesterday as well. Here's a view from the rear facing camera off the line. It's coming up. There it is, and around and around and into the barriers, and then no time for the other drivers to react to pick that up. So here's a view from the overhead camera. There's Turtsis, see, right at the back of the field. And there's the incident happening ahead. He's sort of blindsided by the cars ahead, and then others lock up, and he couldn't avoid it. So the car's going past that incident now. And was the other one that didn't come through? Axel Matthews was the other car that didn't come through. So that's the car that was obscured by the marker boards. So Pironi we knew about. Turtsis we knew about, and the other one, I'm afraid, was one of the ABF cars, Axel Matthews. Start straight incident under investigation, no surprises there. They'll be keen to have a look at that and see if anything can be learned by it, but for now, it's the end of the race for those drivers. So, Colombo leading the way, Lundgaard second, Futrell third, Ye fourth. We got that far down the list. Logan Sargent in 5th place, making a decent start. Richard Verschoor, the Dutch driver, there in 6th. Max de Forney gained some ground. He's up to 7th place in the number 33 car, teammate to Alex Pironi. So he started 8th and has moved up into 7th. Oscar Piastri dropped back a little bit, the Australian, in the Arden car to 8th place, car number 41. 9th place, Victor Martins, and 10th place at the end of the first lap under safety car conditions. Raul Guzman, who survived all of everything that was going on around him. The one key front runner that's properly dropped down the order is Smoljar's, maybe it was Smoljar's car, which in the glistening sunlight with its blue and white and red colour scheme, maybe that was the one rather than Guzman that came off worst in the incident. Guzman definitely threw an okay and doing pretty well, but Smoljar was dropped down to 18th place, which would suggest that he had a heavy delay on that run through turn 1. So the incident being dealt with. Drivers here keen to, some of them keen to get their season underway after, for the likes of Richard Verschoor, difficult starts. And Richard spoke to him this morning, pretty confident he could go quicker than he'd gone in qualifying, because he managed to be third in his group, starting 6th on the grid. However, he set his best lap time when he got stuck behind traffic. As we see there, the stricken car with lots of damage to the front end of Axel Matthews, that 51 car being taken back, the end of its weekend unfortunately. So Richard Verschoor will see what he can do. He needs some points here. I tried to console him by the fact that there's not that many drivers that have had 3 good races so far. He said, yeah, I know I'm not losing as many points as I could be losing, but I've had 3 bad races now and I need to start picking up some points. So Colombo, the race leader, will do at least one more lap behind the safety car here as we get set for action pretty shortly, I would imagine, maybe at the end of this lap. He, as I said, knows the circuit well. He's local, raced here a few times in the past, been a race winner here in the Italian Formula 4 Championship, in which he finished as a front runner last year in 3rd place. Had a couple of years in Italian Formula 4. And before that, like all of these drivers, he was a top level kart racer, runner-up in the Italian karting championships. Christian Lundgaard running in 2nd place. The Danish driver, also 17 years of age, winner of last year's Formula 4 Northern European Zone Championship and the Spanish Formula 4 Championship. And he also did 3 races in the Danish Formula 4 Championship. He had a very busy first season in car racing, but the rookie gaining lots of experience very quickly indeed. Logan Sargent, also the one of the rookies, one of the quick rookies that's already proven himself with a race victory. And Thibaut de Merendol, the team boss who I was speaking to this morning, saying that he's been very impressed with Logan and his attitude and his aptitude towards getting things right. He did lots of testing over the summer last year. He was racing as a front runner in the British Formula 4 Championship, safety car in this lap, as you can see on the graphic. And but in between racing British Formula 4, he was getting some mileage in testing in Formula Renault. He did the last round at Barcelona and scored points on his debut weekend at the end of last season, as I mentioned, and quite a bit of winter testing as well. So the team very impressed with the way he's been able to apply himself. Smoliar, having been into the pits, has just rejoined, but a good half a lap behind this lot, so whether we'll be able to catch up between now and the restart, I'm not sure. But Smoliar had a visit to the pits. We know he dropped down the order. Potentially there was some damage to the car, but they seem happy enough. The team have sent him back out, and the Russian, if the car is working and if he can catch the group up before the restart happens, he might be one worth watching from the back of the field here. Max Futrell, another one that's come up through British Formula 4, winner of the championship 2 years ago, lining in 3rd place, right behind the driver we came together with yesterday, Christian Lundgaard. Both of them ahead of the championship leader, Yiffy Yates. So we're about to get back up to speed. Lorenzo Colombo is already stretching his legs here as he comes out of the Parabolica, and the race gets back underway with just over 22 minutes to go. Colombo well clear here, 2nd, 3rd and 4th though, still pretty tight together as they come past the commentary box window. Yiffy Yates looks like he's closing up a little bit here. Lundgaard's got the inside line there with more red coloured helmet, the bright blue helmet of Futrell alongside. This is where they came together yesterday. No dramas this time though, through they come. All concertinas up just behind as well. But the top 4 stayers there were, but Max de Fournay looked to squeeze through into 5th place ahead of Logan Sargent. That was as they came out of the first part of the chicane and through to the 2nd. So the exit Curva Grande now, with that change of 5th position having happened down towards Variante de la Roggia, down to 3rd gear, a slightly quicker chicane this one. Still some overtaking opportunities to come here. De Fournay trying to defend his position that he's just gained now from Sargent, and then the black and orange car of Richard Verschoor just behind them as well, who was very much involved in all the battles yesterday. Victor Martins in the bright yellow number 4 Renault Sport Academy car, the French driver, another of the RHGP entrants, is hot on their heels also. So good close racing, and Martin squeezing through there. The head of Verschoor got the better run coming out of the turn and made the move stick. So he gains a place on the run out through the Lesmos. Charge downhill and up now towards the next very quick section here. Variante Ascari, the hot goal, there's a spin there, around out of the top. 2 of them going off, unfortunately. Victor Martins is one of them, saw the back end of that car going around first. Is he going to rejoin? Bumpity bump over the gravel trap. No, sorry, it's Futrell. Futrell in the dramas again, not Martin. So Futrell all the way around, dropping down the order, plummeting down the order, and that means that Lundgaard now on his own in 2nd place. De Fournay has climbed up into 3rd spot, and yeah, I think possibly it was the other one, wasn't it? It was sort of the side of the picture. So 2 of the race winners this year, looks like they came together. Various incidents under investigation on the screen. That's given the race leader a bit more breathing space now, and it's sucked up the pack towards this battle for 3rd place. Raul Guzman there, the blue and white machine, looking to gain an advantage. Colombo leads, Lundgaard in 2nd, De Fournay up to 3rd place, Sargent's up to 4th place after all of that. Victor Martins, misidentified it being his car, it was a similar livery, but it was Martins surviving to come through into 5th place. More wheel-to-wheel action in the midfield here. We've got Verschoor in 6th place, Piastri harassing him in 7th, Guzman, who we saw also trying to find positions into 8th place, is Thomas Maxwell. The green and white machine, number 62, in the points again, in 10th place at the moment. Here It's going to be some out-braking. Another lock-up from Richard Bashura. It goes straight on down the escape route. Locked up. He was under severe pressure there. So he goes straight on. Victor Martins was the driver just in front of him. And then, so he's rejoined just in front of Raoul Guzman. Also up there in the mix, you've got Arthur Rougier in the number 87 Renault Sport Academy backed car, run by the Full Tech Motorsport squad, the British team, multiple Formula Renault UK champions and very successful in every level really of junior single-seater racing. So Colombo leads, Lundgaard in second place, Defournay up on course for his first podium of the year, but it's very, very early in the race. They're the number 23 car, black and orange, of Thomas Neubauer, and he is ahead of Charles Milesi, who had a good race yesterday to finish well up in the top 10. So there's Max Futrell having rejoined way down the order, down in 23rd place, I'm afraid. He was less delayed, but he's down in 18th position, and out, I'm afraid, Neil Verhagen in the gravel trap. So Neil has had a really tough weekend so far. I spoke to him this morning and he was really frustrated that they just couldn't figure out where the pace was lacking this weekend. The race pace was okay, but they could not get the one-lap pace together. And he said, this is a bit stressful. We just can't figure it out. It's been a tough weekend, and it's got even tougher, I'm afraid. Neil is out. Becoming a regular point scorer so far this season. More lockups there that time for Oscar Piastri. Big lockup just ahead of Richard Bashur. Piastri running in 6th place, having got ahead of Bashur. Rougier trying to gain a place here, bravely hanging it around the outside of Curva Grande. Is he going to do this? Quite possibly he is. He's absolutely together with Thomas Neubauer. And then you've got Charles Milesi just behind them as well, trying to gain the place, but they're coming into a yellow flag zone, so they've got to be careful here. This, I would imagine, is where the Neil Verhagen car is stranded in the gravel trap. So waved yellows there, no overtaking possible, and they will have to get back in line. Safety cars coming out, that's what the yellows are for. It is presumably for the Verhagen car, which has stopped in the gravel trap, but perhaps in an unsafe place. So the safety car is being deployed. Incident between cars 1 and 16 under investigation. That's the championship leader, Yiffy and Max Futrell. And there indeed is the cause of the safety car. Neil Verhagen's Red Bull liveried car, run by the Tech 1 racing team, is being pulled up and out of the way. So I think this will be a relatively short safety car period. Colombo leading then. Fastest lap of the race that went last time around actually to Christian Lundgaard, who gained a couple of tenths just before the safety car came out. So Christian closing the gap to Colombo. Safety car is paused on track waiting for them on the run down the start-finish straight. Defournay from the 4th row in 3rd spot. 4th spot for Sargent. 5th spot for Victor Martins. And then 6th position, Oscar Piastri, who just got ahead of Richard Bashur before the safety car was deployed. Bashur, the Dutchman, in 7th. 8th place is the Raoul Guzman car. Raoul on course for his first points of the season in 8th place. Then it's Arthur Rougier, 9th, and rounding out the top 10. Sorry, Thomas Neubauer in 9th, and then Arthur Rougier slipping back to 10th place, rounding out the points as it stands. Charles Milesi is 11th, just outside the points. 12th place is Thomas Maxwell. 13th at the moment, the number 53 car of the Spaniard Victor Martins, the former double Spanish vice champion in the Spanish karting championships. And then in 14th place we've got Frank Bird. He has recovered a little bit up to 15th, so the car obviously working okay, and the safety car will help him to an extent because of course it's going to bunch everybody up. So there still could be some points on the cards here for the Chinese driver in the red and white number 16 car. In 16th place, the driver that is just overtaken to get there is Alex Vartanian, another of the Russian drivers. 17th as it stands is Xavier Loveras, the Spaniard. 18th place currently for Clement Novalak, the driver, the racer with the British licence, but based just outside Paris. The Swiss driver. Then in 19th place currently we've got number 54, which is Christian Munot, the Colombian, and Max Futrell gained another place just before the safety car was deployed, so he's 20th. So we've got to watch for those two potentially charging through the order. Smoliev went back in the pits, I'm afraid. So Smoliev went well for 4th place yesterday. He has gone into the pits for the second time. I think he's out of the running now, effectively. So second safety car period is going to be coming to an end at the end of this lap. and we've still got just under half of the race to go. And this is going to be a real dogfight. We've got a big battle starting to brew at the top of the field between Colombo and Lundgaard, both looking for their maiden victories. And then you've got Deforne, who has really got to start picking up some good points and showed how determined he was to do that yesterday. The Belgian driver charging through the field, a double overtake into turn 1 was one of the highlights of yesterday's race as he came through from a long way down to get into the points. The 19-year-old Belgian who lives in Luxembourg and was 4th in this championship last year with 1 win at the Castellet at Paul Ricard and 3rd in the Renault Eurocup in 2016. So through Parabolica and building up the speed, not quite as far clear as he was on the original restart, is Lorenzo Colombo. The home fans will be cheering him on. Here in his backyard, he leads them away again. Christian Lundgaard in 2nd, 3rd place, Max Deforne 4th and 5th. Pretty nose to tail here. Logan Sargent is going to get the attentions of Victor Martins, I think, down at the first chicane as Christian Lundgaard closes up. Got Richard Verschoor about to dive down the inside as well to potentially gain a place. Martins goes through on Sargent to get that 4th spot, and Piastri gets ahead of Verschoor, or stays ahead of Verschoor. And Verschoor, having tried the move, is now going to be coming under fire himself as they go up through towards top gear. And he's got Ralf Guzman coming after him, so they're wheel to wheel as they go through now towards the next chicane. And here we've got the battle for the lead of the race. Christian Lundgaard pulls alongside, he goes right around the outside. What a fantastic move, and into the lead of the race. So he gets his nose in front with a classic move. Brave stuff around the outside. Colombo gave him room, and look, Max Deforne is right with them now in 3rd place. So as it stands, we're almost certainly going to get a 4th different winner in 4 races, because neither of these 3 have been on the top step of the podium so far this season, and those that have are a little bit further back down the order trying to climb up. Victor Martins ahead of Logan Sargent, as we said, in 4th place while all the action was going on just behind. And we'll keep an eye on the progress of Jan Futrell, who no doubt will be gunning and giving it absolutely everything to get back up into the points. Every point counts in this championship, this 20-round championship. Great shot as they flash through. The camera shot there. Incidents involving car number 21 being investigated after the race now. It's Neil Verhagen, that's turn 7. Here is Thomas Maxwell in the green and white machine, gaining a place, does he? Yep, on Arthur Rougier. Looking for more points in the championship here if he can. He's been in points in every single race so far, 10th, 6th and 10th. So here we got the number 2 car, Logan Sargent, trying to get his place back here from Victor Martins. Got the line, but he's running out of steam, running out of legs here. I'm not sure he's going to be able to find a way through, or is he going to be super brave on the brakes? Yes, he is. Through he goes to snatch that 4th place back. So good move that for Logan Sargent. It's all concertinaing up just behind in the battle on the fringe of the top 10 there. Arthur Rougier, I think, losing another place at the start of this lap. So the 87 car going backwards slightly, but they're just outside the points, that little group of 4 or 5 cars from 11th down to 14th, 15th places. So there's your new race leader, Christian Lundgaard, ahead of Colombo, and then side by side again for 4th place. Sargent hanging on to it after that good move on the run through turn 1. They exit the 2nd chicane down towards Curva de Lesmo next. Double apex right hander, 4th gear for this one. The second part is much tighter, but you've got to get a really good exit for the long straight which follows. And look at Oscar Piastri, the Australian here, squeezing through on Victor Martins to gain a place. So the Arden driver coming through. Runner-up in last year's British Formula 4 Championship with the same team he's running with now. He's got a different engineer. There are a couple of familiar faces in the team though, making him feel comfortable. And he's taken to this championship like a duck to water. He's really enjoying driving the cars. He's still wheel to wheel with Victor Martins though. Victor's not given up on this place yet. Oscar's going to have to be stubborn, stick to his racing line. Richard Verschoor now trying to get in the mix as well, but doesn't do that. And once again, you try a move, it doesn't work out, you come under fire yourself, because now he's got the blue and white Ralf Guzman car coming after him. The Mexican driver for Fortec having a good run here. They're weaving this way, then that. All sorts of battles going on just behind them as well. But for now, into that corner at least, they stay as they were. Look how wide they run on the exit to the turn, making sure they keep the momentum going out of the corners through Parabolica, that 5th gear corner, to get this long run down towards the first corner, absolutely sorted. And now we got Charles Milesi in the white and blue car, number 3, trying to find a way past Guzman. They're all fanning around each other. Top 3 bunching up, stay as they were. Sargent in 4th place. Then this battle for 5th place. Victor Martins is there at the moment, just about hanging on to it, but Jean Milesi has squeezed ahead of Richard Bashor, tucking in behind Raul Guzman. Thomas Neubauer having a tremendous race just ahead of this little group as well in 6th place, looking for his best result of the season so far. And there are the top 3, and they're being caught by Logan Sargent in 4th place. Oh, there's contact just behind. Jean Milesi runs into the back of Raul Guzman. The Mexican driver is sent off. There's damage to Milesi's car, and then look as he goes over the curbs and goes almost airborne. The nose of the car pointing to the heavens, but thankfully coming back down. He really did hit that speed bump with a huge amount of force. So a wild ride for Charles Milesi, and that's unfortunately is probably that in terms of any chance of finishing this weekend in the points for a 2nd consecutive time. Thomas Neubauer going well, and his teammate Frank Birdie's having a good run here as well. He's certainly looked pretty strong all weekend here at Monza in the 24 car. 23 is his teammate Richard Shaw, having to close the door on Raul Guzman there, just about fending him off. And more drivers joining this party now, joining this battle between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars for 5th place. Ahead of the group, still Victor Martins, number 4. And look at this, weaving this way than that. Raul Guzman trying to hold the position here. He's alongside Richard Verschoor, who's going to get there first. Verschoor is on the outside. We'll have to give second best. Can't quite make that move stick. And Thomas Maxwell was trying to get in the mix as well. Has got, guess who behind him? Yifei, the championship leader, has joined the party. He's caught them up. There he is in the red and white car. And he's already into the points. That's 10th place for him now at the end of that lap, and he's going to pick up a toe here to try and gain more places. He looks right, he looks left, there's no way through, there's cars everywhere you look. Who's going to get to the group, top of the group first? It will be Guzman, Maxwell, maybe, because Verschoor trying to hang it around the outside, goes over the curves. Maxwell is delayed, and here comes Ye, the Chinese driver, looks around the outside at Curve Grande. If he can bravely hang on around the outside, he'll have the better line coming up for the first part of the next chicane, but no, he can't. He has to tuck back in behind. Maxwell fends him off for the time being. This has allowed Victor Martins just to edge away. Best form of defence is attack then for Thomas Maxwell. He has a look at the inside of Richard Verschoor. He almost goes into the back of the Dutchman. Ye trying to get through. Has got another car hot on his heels as well, so to be careful here, because he's got Frank Bird breathing down his neck. Frank would do well here to follow the Chinese driver through, because he's on a real charge here. He may not be the championship leader at the end of this one, depends how high up the order he gets, but he's going to give this absolutely everything trying. Where is Max Futrell? Up to 16th place, more places gained on the previous lap, so Max is coming after them as well in the number 1 car to try and get himself, and just to see him in the background there, just going under the bridge, the green helmet. And Thomas Maxwell just behind Richard Verschoor, and here a replay of that incident between Charles Milesi, who broke his front wing on the back of Raul Guzman's car, and then watch this as he goes over, doesn't back off the throttle, goes over the speed bump, woof, does a wheelie and almost goes into the sides of Richard Verschoor and crosses the bows of Thomas Maxwell. Hairy moment there. This I think is from another angle yet. Look how close he was to going into the side of both Verschoor and Maxwell. They got away with it. That to a point helped Ye to catch them up a bit more as well. So fascinating race developing here. Logan Sargent has caught up to Max De Fornay, so we've now got a 4-way battle for the lead of the race. Victor Martins in 5th position. Big lock up for Raul Guzman there. Thomas Maxwell ahead of Richard Verschoor. Ye still can't get through. Of course, the higher up the order you get, the more difficult it becomes. But if you're getting slightly frustrated by this, Richard Verschoor just ahead is the next target for Ye, still in 10th place. So this is 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, with Victor Martins sort of on his own now in 5th, and then this squabble going on for 6th place. Now Ye has gone round the outside of Richard Verschoor and squeezes into a very tight gap. If he can be tidy on the exit, he'll make the move stick. He does, and he gains a place up to 9th then for the Chinese driver. And look at Frank Bird having a look at the inside of Richard Verschoor. It was a big effort, but it didn't quite pay off. So the British driver in the number 24 car just has to sit tight for the time being. Tremendous battles going on through the field here, and oh so close. Cars absolutely glued together, which shows just how equal they all are, and what a good level of drivers we've got in this year's field. The drivers all the way through the field have been successful in other championships, other forms of motorsport, in karting, in other junior single-seater formula. It's a very strong field of drivers indeed, as we see a move there from Christian Murat, the Colombian driver, to gain a place, the 54 car, 17th position. Max Futrell still down in 16th place. And now some super slow-mos through the chicanes, trying to avoid those. You can see how steep the curves are there. So you've got to kiss them to take the optimum line through the corner, but you don't ride them, because that will throw the car off balance. Just under 4.5 minutes to go, and look how close they are to one another. Now, for the lead of the race, Lorenzo Colombo has not given up on becoming a race winner this weekend. He's still there with Christian Lundgaard, both of them looking for their first win in the campaign. They've edged away now from Max de Fournet, who's got a tiny bit of breathing space over Logan Sargent, third and fourth. Fastest lap of the race, last time out to Colombo, so that's why the gap has come down. He was 1.5 tenths quicker. There is Logan Sargent bearing down upon Max de Fournet for third and fourth positions. Victor Martins in fifth place, and then sixth place, having a really strong run, the French driver Thomas Neubauer. Seventh place Maxwell, eighth place for Ye, ahead of Guzman now. Has a big lock-up, then Ye runs deep into the corner, and it all backs up. Concertinas up into one another, and they do well to avoid contact. Richard Bashaw had to get right off the throttle there in the number 12 car to avoid running into the back of the Mexican. But yeah, it's sort of left the ball for dead now as a result of that. He got on the throttle first, and away he goes off onto his next target. And who would put money on him, against him, catching the next driver and getting another, potentially another couple of points here, added back to his tally. Got a bit of a gap to try and make up. There's more dancing and weaving in the background here. That is Martins there on the tail of Bird as they came through shot. Bird has fended off the Spanish driver for now. Max Futrell has joined that little train as well. He's got Arthur Rougier just in front of him, the similar liveried car. And then it's Max Futrell trying desperately in this closing few minutes to get some points. If he doesn't pick up any points this weekend, he's going to be absolutely devastated, given that he came here as the championship leader. It has not gone his way. This is the tail end of the incident. And look at this for the lead of the race. Colombo is there. Now, Colombo has been an entertaining driver to watch so far this season. He goes for it, and he's going to have a couple of laps to, at least probably 3 laps, to try and find a way past the Danish driver. He hasn't got to worry about the drivers behind. They've got a nice big gap back now, about 2 seconds back to de Fournet in third place. Fourth place Sargent, and here comes Colombo. He pulls out of the slipstream, but there's a left-hander coming up first. He backs off out of it, and look in the background, Logan Sargent weaving this way then that to try and find third place and get a podium finish here. The American driving really well here, but so too is Max de Fournet, putting the car exactly where he needs to. Victor Martins on his own in 5th place, and then still in 6th place in the distance there was Thomas Neubauer. Maxwell in 7th, Ye in 8th, Guzman and Vashaw running at the top 10. Frank Bird almost in the points, just behind in 11th place. Through they come again. Christian Lundgaard knows he's got to work hard to get this race victory. He knows the Italian is not going to make life easy for him. It's been good, close, fair racing so far. There's nothing to choose between those two, and they're both going 100% on every corner of every single lap of the race to eke out a maximum performance, trying to suss each other out, trying to work out where the opponent's weaknesses might be, where they need to defend, where they need to put the car to either try and find a way through or defend the position. It could not be closer between the top two, with a minute to go in the race, and it's going to be a tight squabble for the final place on the podium as well. Christian Lundgaard, the rookie driver, leading the way from Lorenzo Colombo there as they go through into the final minute of the race. It's 30 minutes plus 1 lap, so there'll be 2 laps to go, including the one they've just started. 2 rookies in the top 2 positions here, going for the race victory. A lock-up for Lundgaard, coming under pressure from Colombo. He runs deep into the first parts of the chicane, and then getting on the throttle a little bit quicker is Colombo, but Lundgaard now will put that car plumb on the racing line, and he'll have one eye on the mirrors as he comes through Curva Grande, down towards this next big overtaking opportunity at Curva de Rogia. The chicane going a bit wide and a bit ragged. There is the race leader. Here comes Colombo. Can he go around the outside? Can he retaliate with a similar move that Lundgaard pulled off to get the lead of the race? No is the answer. Lundgaard on the back foot there, but he keeps the lead of the race. Time about to run out. They'll cross the line, and there'll be one more lap to go at the end of this. A long lap and a half this is going to be for Christian Lundgaard. Time will seem to fly by for Colombo as the laps disappear. His opportunities disappear. He's just dropped back a bit now by a couple of lengths. Lundgaard doing really well here, but he'll know he can't afford to lock up again. But it's between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. You've got to brake as late as you dare into that first chicane, otherwise the next driver is going to come charging down the inside of you. So he's got to brake late, but if he locks up and goes deep into the corner like he did last time, Colombo's going to be there ready to pounce. Third and fourth starting to catch up a bit as well. Victor Martin's pace is good in 5th place. Yea's just set the fastest lap of the race with a 150.5, so he's 7/10 of a second quicker than the leaders at the moment, having charged through the field. He's only 6/10 behind Thomas Maxwell, so there could still be another place to be gained here. It could be 7th instead of 8th. Thomas will have to defend hard for the final lap of the race, as the Chinese driver hunts him down very rapidly indeed. Victor Martin's flying as well. He set the fastest second sector of anybody in the race so far last time around, but he's too far back, I think, to get involved in the battle for the podium positions. Into the final lap of the race they go then. Here is Ye coming up, and you've got Maxwell battling away with Neubauer as well, so he's attacking and defending at the same time here. Maxwell goes for it down the inside, squeezes through. The Australian gains a place. He's a bit deep through the second part, but there's no way through there, and that's a nice tidy move, but the battle is not yet over. Look at Ye just behind them as well. So the two Thomases with Iffy to try and fend off. There are the top two. No change for third. Defournet having a strong weekend here. The only block in the copybook really was him getting some contact on the first lap, which dropped him down. And look at this, side by side. Neubauer trying to get the place back, and he does. Squeezes past Maxwell. It goes off into the gravel. One wheel on the gravel trap, and through comes Iffy to split the pair of them. So he's up to 8th place now. 7th, 8th and 9th running absolutely together here with just about half a lap to go in the race. Terrific squabbling here we've seen all day long, all weekend long in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Can we see a late change of lead here though? He's coming back at the Dane, but he's not yet close enough to launch a real attack, and time is running out for Colombo. He'd be very disappointed obviously, given that he started pole position, but what a move it was from Lundgaard to get the lead initially. And Ye is not done either. He wants another place. He wants that 7th position. He knows every point is absolutely valuable. You can't risk too much, because Neubauer is not going to make life easy for him. Almost home and dry now for Christian Lundgaard, who is about to become the 4th different race winner in 4 races in the 2018 Formula Renault Euro Cup. The rookie becomes a race winner. Lundgaard wins. Colombo in 2nd place. 3rd, and his first podium of the season for Defournet. Sargent right with him in 4th place. Martins has gone through in 5th place. 6th place is going to go the way just about of Neubauer. Ye fending off Maxwell for 7th. 8th place for Maxwell. More good points. One of the most consistent drivers in the championship. Bird got through at the end to 9th place. So first points for Bird. Verschoor dropped to 10th place, and Max Futrell did not score points. He was 11th, just outside the points. And an absolutely devastating weekend for him, really, given how well he went at Paul Ricard. 2 poles, a win, a 2nd, but 0 points here this weekend. And Lundgaard is going to pick up the maximum 25 points. He'll move on to 58 points. He'll move clear of Max Futrell into 2nd place. But with that very strong comeback drive, Ye is also going to add some points to his tally, of course, as well, for 7th place. Another 6 points will give him a 6-point lead in the championship. So Ye will lead the championship. There he is. Terrific comeback from him. Was he down in 18th place, I think, at one point, after he and Futrell went off the road together. Logan Sargent with another strong drive as well, bags more good points just outside the podium positions. And terrific drive as well this weekend from Max Defournet, battling yesterday. Today it was a different story really. He was having to defend quite a lot of the time. The cars make their way back. So Lundgaard, Colombo and Defournet will be on the podium, and rookie winner being Christian Lundgaard will get a box for that as well. Some super slow-mos as we wait for the cars to come back. And the number 4 machine of Victor Martins, which had a relatively lonely race actually, but he had real serious pace for the last 5 or 10 minutes of that race. He's just a little bit too far back to get involved in that battle for 3rd spot, but Victor Martins picking up more good points. Didn't have a very good first race, outside the points in 11th place in the opening round of the championship, but he's been in the top 6 constantly since then. A 4th, a 6th, and now a 5th place finish. And it's the consistency that's going to be the big factor this year, because as we've seen, I don't think anybody is going to dominate this in terms of the number of race wins that they'll pick up. So it's on the weekends where things aren't quite going for you, where you've got to try and maximise the points, and those 4th and 5th and 6th place finishes are all going to add up to make the difference, I think, at the end of the season. So round 1 of the championship, it was Logan Sargent that took victory at Paul Ricard, then it was Mats Futrell, and yesterday he won the first time, and now Christian Lundgaard. Not only is it 4 different drivers, it's 4 drivers from 4 different countries that have won races now. First time that he has been off the podium, but I think he'll be overall pretty satisfied with the way he was able to come back from that. So here is the race winner, Christian Lundgaard. His dad Henrik will be here, no doubt, with the team to greet his son home. And there to the right of the picture, Lorenzo Colombo, double podium for him this weekend. And Lundgaard